A figure approaches Sugawa, requesting him to review the project documents. Suddenly, the stunning Tokomori Mizuki appears, handing the papers to Sugawa for his assessment. Her colleague suggests she handle the revisions since the distributors have just arrived, but she insists she'll manage everything. She snatches the paper, reading it while her fingers hover over the keyboard, ready to revise before even sitting down. As she reviews, she requests a printed copy of her work, while Sugue stands still, merely observing her. The co-worker expresses gratitude to Tokomori, knowing she'd be efficient, then turns to Tsubala, advising him to learn from her. Later, we witness our diligent, intelligent girl receiving accolades for her excellent performance. Among her friends, she radiates beauty and charm, leaving several boys utterly enchanted, something no one expected. She heads out only to find herself sprawled on the floor. Her hair is down, bag tossed aside. No one would have guessed she'd look like this at home. She opens her eyes and greets Shuhua with a radiant smile. The guy stares at her, embarrassed and completely taken aback. This sugar turns off the faucet and exits the bathroom, informing Tokomori that the bath is ready and that he has set aside a change of clothes for her. He lost his home and was fortunate that his coworker offered her place for them to cohabitate in exchange for his assistance. He soon realizes that while she's flawless at work, she's a total disaster in other aspects. He knows he's the only one who witnesses this side of her. Suddenly, she sneaks up behind him, tugging at his shirt to grab his attention. With her eyes shut and clad in a very short pajama set, she requests a favor. Clearly shocked, the guy notices her revealing outfit and stutters her name. In disbelief, Shugawa hears her request to unbutton her shirt. Tokomori mentions that starting tomorrow, she'll wear shirts without buttons, while Sugoi thinks she's asking him to do everything, even the kind of thing. So he begins unbuttoning her shirt, albeit a bit too slowly. As he does this, he contemplates how complicated this situation is. He knows Geralt has no romantic feelings for him, yet. While unbuttoning her shirt, he can't help but think of decent thoughts. Finally finishing, he realizes he needs to wrap this up quickly before things escalate. Suddenly, she leaps into his arms and kisses him on the cheek. Meanwhile, Segura stands there, frozen like a statue. Mori opens her eyes, looking as beautiful as ever, thanking him for his assistance. But just as quickly as she appeared, she walks away, leaving him utterly stunned in place. In shock, he wonders what just transpired and why she kissed him on the cheek when he's certain she doesn't view him that way. He tells himself to relax. It was no big deal, he's just a helper, nothing more. An hour later, Shugawa heads to the bathroom to check on her, as she's been in the bath for too long. He knocks on the door and slowly begins to open it, asking if she's all right. He discovers her wrapped in a towel, adorably asleep on the bathroom floor. As she stirs, she explains she was trying to get in the bath, but dozed off. He suggests she at least put something on and offers to assist. He lifts her up, carries her to the bedroom, lays her on the bed, and gently strokes her head. Shigola asks if she's comfortable, to which she replies yes, half asleep. She apologizes for being a burden and asks if he's disappointed in her. He places his hand on her shoulders, assuring her he's not disappointed at all. He adds that she works too hard and needs to rest more. She blushes slightly at the compliment, and he prepares to stand and leave, wishing her sweet dreams. Before he can exit, she inquires if he has someone special he likes, causing him to freeze. Once again, in utter shock, embarrassed, and stammering, he asks why she's curious about that. She replies that she'll see him tomorrow as she drifts off to sleep, offering no explanation for her question. He stands there, frozen, watching her sleep, thinking how defenseless she looks and how she always surprises him. It's 7:30 in the morning, just days before the incident. This marks the start of Shuga's morning in a capsule hotel. Earlier, he received news that the apartment he rented would be demolished in 2 days. He began searching for a new room to rent, while hurriedly moving his belongings into a storage unit. Checking his phone, he sees a message from his little sister thanking him for covering her college entrance fee. He replies, assuring her she can always count on him and that she can call anytime she needs assistance. Benny continues strolling through the city, pondering how costly moving can be. One way or another, he'll have to do it. Procrastination isn't an option. Glancing at his phone, he realizes it's the day of the company drinking party and thinks it's okay to join occasionally. He needs to relax too. Later, he finds himself at a table with colleagues, eating and drinking. Suddenly, a voice calls out his name from behind. Turning around, he spots Tokomori, glowing as always, asking if he's done with his drink and if he wants to order something. Flustered and stammering, he replies, yes, a lemonade would be nice, as she stretches her arm to summon a waiter. Someone mentions it's her first time attending one of the company's drinking events. One guy recalls she assisted him with a project, another mentions she once served him tea, and yet another praises her speed in organizing documents. Sugawa thinks she's quite dependable. As the party wraps up, he bids farewell to friends heading in the opposite direction. While walking and checking his phone, he realizes he needs to return to the capsule hotel. Out of nowhere, he passes an open door and spots someone lying on the floor. He jumps in surprise, recognizing the person on the ground as the lovely Tokomori, his coworker. She notices him staring and asks what he's doing. Tokomori smiles sweetly, explaining her home is far and she was just taking a break. Concerned, he asks if she's truly okay, and she reassures him she's mostly fine, thanking him for his concern. While he's still trying to grasp the situation, a man approaches her, grabbing her hand. With a suggestive grin, the man warns her it's unsafe to be alone and offers to keep her company. She turns to him, starting to apologize, but he cuts her off, saying it's all good and suggesting they rest at the hotel across the street. He begins to pull her away, insisting they should head to the hotel, while Sugawa shouts to get the man's attention. Facing the guy, Sugawa declares he's her coworker and insists he'll be the one taking her home. The man shrugs and walks off, leaving Sugawa smiling, thinking he has another task for the night. After a while, they exit a taxi, and Sugawa asks her for the door code, to which she sleepily responds. He worries it might look bad if he just walks into a girl's home like that. The door swings open, and he steps inside, politely saying, "Excuse me." Upon entering, he notices the apartment is a disaster, clothes strewn everywhere. He turns to her, asking where the bed is located. Without hesitation, she flops onto the floor, declaring she sleeps right there, too tired to look for the bed. Taken aback, he stares, realizing this is one surprise he never anticipated. She apologizes, explaining that this is just her nature. She's a messy person. He looks at her and reassures her that it's perfectly fine to be that way, since she works so hard. Flushed with embarrassment, she begins to respond but starts to get up. She stands, claiming she's regained some energy and will start cleaning, but steps on a chopstick lying around. She slips and lands flat on her face while he jumps in shock, wondering if she's all right. Mouth agape, he notices her fall puts her in a rather compromising position. From that angle, her underwear is visible. She admits to being careless but remains still, and he, still stunned, can't look away. Finally snapping out of it, he takes off his jacket to cover her, saying he'll handle the cleaning. Takamori inquires about his living situation, and he explains that his previous place was demolished, so he's now in a capsule hotel. She ponders the idea of him staying at her place instead of returning to the capsule hotel. She lifts herself slightly as he processes her suggestion, completely taken aback. She mentions he could pay half the rent, but he declines, citing he's a guy. In a sweet tone, she asks if he really can't, wondering if she's being of any help. Overwhelmed with embarrassment, he concedes, saying it's fine, but he can stay under her care for a bit. She happily lies back down on the floor, pleased with his decision. A moment later, she wishes him good night and starts to doze off right there on the floor. Standing before her, he contemplates what on earth he's going to do tonight, marking the start of his parasitic lifestyle. They say, how you meet someone says a lot about you. And they discuss. Her dining habits are described as elegant and radiant. The guide tells Sugawa that when he gets home, dinner should always be ready, but Sugawa counters that it's an outdated mindset. We live in modern times. He thinks that the perceptions people have about her couldn't be more misguided, while she cooks half asleep, knife in hand. He recalls that when he first moved in with her, she only ate instant noodles, so he offered to prepare something different. Exhausted at the table, she apologizes for not being able to offer anything in return for the lunchbox he made. He tells her to relax, he'll handle everything. After all, he just saw Tokomori wearing a napkin. Chill out, he says. I've got this covered. After all, he just spotted Tokomori in a napkin. He figures any guy would envy him for that. More than that, he feels joy just seeing her try something different. Suddenly, he turns and spots her. Her lovely face rests on the table, eyes fixed on him. She stands up, asking if he's preparing ulnaries, and he confirms. Tokomori then approaches with a container, offering to make the ketchup topping. Gawisa's ketchup is new to her, and he reminds her to take off the seal. As he continues cooking the amaris, he wonders what she'll write with ketchup on his dish. Suddenly, a noise catches his attention, and he sees she's completely covered in keg. She appears half asleep as he checks if she's all right. He suggests they wash her shirt quickly to prevent stains. Then he notices her starting to remove her shirt right in front of him, causing him to panic and tell her she doesn't need to do that here. Embarrassed, he turns away, thinking about how she just began undressing in front of him. Without hesitation, she tells him to get her another shirt since it's chilly. She apologizes, saying she keeps bothering him, and he calls her name to get her attention. Looking directly into her eyes, he reassures her that it's fine to have clumsy moments since she's always giving her best. She gazes at him, clearly flustered by the compliment, while he picks up her soiled shirt and sets it aside for washing. After a while, he finally manages to remove all the stains from her shirt and celebrates. When he goes to Tokomori to share the good news about the stains, he notices something odd. The girl is asleep on the couch, wearing just a sweater. For a moment, he can't help but notice the areas of her body that the sweater doesn't fully cover. He approaches her, intending to cover her with a blanket, worried she might catch a cold lying there. His face inches closer to hers, feeling her breath against his skin. Out of nowhere, she shifts to the side, leaving him utterly shocked. A second later, she starts to sit up, and Sugawa steps back, still startled by her abrupt awakening. With a sweet smile, she tells him she was dreaming about the omelet he was preparing. Awkwardly smiling, he suggests they eat the omelet, noting she must be starving, while recalling how he touched her lips. Sitting at the table with the now cold omelet, he reflects that what he did felt somewhat wrong, while she happily declares his food delicious. The day begins with Shigua focusing on Tokomori over the phone, mentioning she'd meet someone at tomorrow's meeting. He notices their co-workers eyeing her with inappropriate thoughts, while he thinks about how organized she is, not just at work. He observes her body proportions, model-like, and so perfect they seem almost unreal. His co-workers remark that she must work out after hours to maintain such a figure, and a female colleague shoos away the drooling guys. Still pondering, he admits that Tokimori's physique is indeed very well proportioned. He sees her sprawled on the couch, on the verge of falling asleep. As he walks by with the laundry basket, he asks if he can wash her clothes, and she agrees. Suddenly, he wonders how he's never seen her working out. Regardless, he heads to the laundry room, basket in hand, ready to start sorting. He opens the basket and spots the girl's underwear. Overcome with embarrassment, his jaw drops as he questions if that's really what he thinks it is. Once he realizes they truly are her clothes, he imagines her wearing that set, and wonders how she lets them pile up like this. Still sitting on the floor, he contemplates how to wash those clothes, knowing if he doesn't, she'll run out. He grabs his phone to check if it's acceptable to hand wash women's underwear. Nervous and sweating, he finds a site that explains how to wash bras by hand without damaging them. He begins to read the instructions. Turning on the water and filling the sink, he rolls up his sleeves, preparing to start washing. He repeats the site's advice: maintain the shape, wash under running water, and rinse thoroughly. As he does this, he notices how small the bra is compared to his hand. Looking at his hands, he thinks they seem larger than he anticipated. Dropping the bra into the water, he sits there stunned, realizing it's bigger than his hands. Trembling, he slowly reaches for the bra again, picturing Tokomori handing him a report. Suddenly, she appears in the laundry room doorway, calling out to him, and he's so startled that he apologizes and jumps. Not even sure what's happening, she approaches and apologizes for letting the laundry pile up too much. Still flustered, he watches as she mentions that if he keeps washing like that, he'll soak his shirt sleeves. Then she gets really close and offers to fix his sleeves, while lightly pressing her body against his. But she lingers, thinking she's touching him, and says he should be fine now. Finally, she notices what he's washing. Her face suddenly flushes bright red with embarrassment. She pulls him out of the laundry room, insisting she'll finish the laundry later. He's still caught up in thoughts about her touch. And that she wasn't wearing a bra, reflecting that living with her is awakening all his worldly desires. Takamori's friend invites her to lunch, and she stretches, confirming the plan. As she rises, she inquires if Nishi has visited the little shop by the station. Nishi replies no, but expresses interest. Meanwhile, a colleague of Shigua remarks on Takamori's brilliance and wonders about her hobbies, noting her excellent taste. Our guy starts pondering what hobbies she might enjoy. He realizes he has no clue, and his friend picks up a Blu-ray, asking if he's seen it. Lawson thinks about Tokomori, but misses the question, asking his friend to repeat. The friend mentions it's the latest film by director Makoto and offers the Blu-ray as a gift. He gets thrilled at the thought of receiving the Blu-ray. Nearby, Tokomori notices the boy's excitement over the movie. Nike happily grabs the Blu-ray, recalling how he watched the film in theaters on its release day, convinced it never gets old. It's a masterpiece that brings tears. Holding the Blu-ray, his thoughts are interrupted by the girl asking if he enjoys movies. Startled by her sudden appearance, he turns around and replies that he loves films, adding that this one is animated and asking if she likes movies too. Feeling shy, she admits she does, but hasn't had time to watch any lately. Stammering, he offers that if she wants, they could watch it together. Her eyes widen with excitement at his suggestion. Takamori heads to the kitchen, saying she'll grab drinks while he reflects on how rare it is to see her so joyful at home. As he starts the Blu-ray, he feels a sense of déjà vu about the scene. Then it hits him, watching a movie together feels like a date. He glances nervously at her as she sips her drink. Shigawa senses she's inching closer on the couch. Frozen in place, ignoring the film, he wonders if it's all in his imagination, perhaps due to the dim lighting. Suddenly, she leans in, resting her head on his shoulder. Panic sets in. He can barely breathe. In a shaky voice, he asks if she's feeling sleepy. She replies the movie is captivating, but there's something. She mentions that maintaining good posture in a theater is tiring, and she can't keep it up until the end. Lowering herself, she adds she feels like a bother. Crossing his legs, Sugawa calls out to Tokomori. With a smile, he encourages her to enjoy the movie with him. Delighted, she pulls her knees up and agrees to enjoy the film together. Her chosen position clearly distracts Sugawa, making it hard for him to focus. He realizes he won't concentrate on the movie at all while she's like that, and she innocently comments that the volume is too loud, turning it down. Moments later, she places both hands on his thigh, then lies down, resting her head on Sugawa's lap, leaving him speechless. Takamori looks up at him, saying she thought he seemed very calm. Still in shock, he asks her to repeat herself, and she simply smiles, looking content. Sugawa thinks about how defenseless she appears, making it hard to focus on the movie. Nishi, the junior employee, asks Takamori if she'd like to have dinner together on Friday. Takamori replies that Friday isn't a good day for her. The woman jumps onto the desk, shocked that Takamori declined, asking if she has a boyfriend, while Takamori scolds her for talking at work. As their argument continues in the background, two male colleagues whisper, speculating if she really has a boyfriend. As she tells her friend she's heading home today, the coworkers notice she looks more radiant than ever. Sugawa, overhearing, wonders why she seems to shine brighter than usual. Then it dawns on him. She's been sleeping in her bed instead of crashing on the floor, which must mean she's getting better rest. While he's lost in thought at his desk, someone calls his name from behind. She approaches him and places a note on his desk. He then types a message on his computer and points it out to her. The message instructs him to meet her at the station. She beams and makes a hand gesture. Looking at her sign, he thinks he's never seen that gesture before. It must mean okay. He returns to his computer, working as quickly as possible. With his phone in hand, he arrives at the meeting spot with Takamori. In front of a cafe, he pauses, thinking it looks like a lovely place for a date. As he enters, he spots her with her head down at one of the tables. Upon closer inspection, he realizes she's asleep, looking adorable. He asks if she's all right. She replies that the cafe was so warm and cozy that she dozed off. Sugawa notices she even slips into power-saving mode outside, apologizing for being late and saying he's ready to head home. As they descend the stairs, he notices how steep they are and glances back at Takamori. She seems to be sleepwalking behind him. Just as he warns her to be careful, she misses a step and tumbles forward. He suddenly realizes her body is pressed against his, her bright eyes locked onto him. Her chest is against him, and he swallows hard, frozen in place, unable to utter a word. Thoughts swirl about how firm her body feels. She calls his name, starting to say something. With a quivering voice, she mentions she thinks she might have hurt her ankle. She sits down on the steps, apologizing for being such a clumsy bother. Shogo steps forward, reassuring her that she doesn't have to face everything alone. Everyone thrives with support. She hops onto his back, questioning if she's too heavy, and he quickly assures her she isn't. In this position, her chest will be against his back the entire time. There's no escaping it. Suddenly, someone calls out from behind, pointing out he dropped his train pass. Turning around, he spots a junior colleague from his company holding the pass. As they recognize each other, both let out screams of shock and surprise. The girl asks if he's Sugawatoru and why he's with Tokomori. The girl on his back wakes up realizing it's Nishi from work, and he remembers her too. She speculates that he might be the mystery guy she thought Tokomori was involved with. Still in shock, he snatches the card from her hand and dashes off with Tokomori on his back, apologizing. He mentions he's in a hurry, thinking she'll definitely assume they're dating after this. Once home, he collapses as soon as they enter, and she remarks on how heavy she must be. Despite his fatigue, he's convinced Nishi now suspects something's brewing between them. He imagines her spreading the word at work about what she saw, worrying it could cause trouble for Tokomori. Suddenly, he feels her hand gripping the back of his neck. She kneels before him, wiping the sweat from his face with a handkerchief, asking if he's all right. As he looks up, he notices her legs, and his mind drifts to how close her thighs were when he glanced. Calmly, she asks if he's worried about today's events. Still seated in front of her, he admits he might be overthinking things. He continues, saying co-workers might misinterpret their relationship and start rumors. He insists on clearing things up, emphasizing she's a good person who even let him stay in her home. She blushes, looking directly at him, suggesting that a little gossip might be inevitable. She asks if it might be better if they actually started dating for real. Suga turns bright red, shocked by her suggestion. Nervously, he insists they're not at that stage yet, fearing things could escalate too quickly. While he stumbles through excuses, she drifts off to sleep right there. The next day, Shugwa finds Tokomori, relieved her injury isn't serious, and she thanks him. He notices she looks almost the same as yesterday when someone behind them greets them. Turning around, they see Nishi Yukako, arms crossed, looking like she caught them red-handed. She points at them, saying they clearly didn't expect to see her, especially from she. Then she quips that he's obviously Tokomori's little pony. Both stare at her, puzzled by what she means by little pony. Nishi laughs, explaining she didn't expect him to carry her home, picturing how submissive he looks. While the junior hugs the girl, saying she wouldn't expect less from her, he thinks Nishi's got it all wrong. One of the guys tells Chief Sakura that cleaning everything before Friday is impossible. The boss insists they must keep things tidy every day, but the guy wonders how he can manage it all. Mishi stops behind Savala, complaining she can't keep up anymore. Just then, someone appears and snatches the papers from her hands. Tokomori, holding Nishi's papers, encourages her to hang in there a little longer. The girl asks Kokomori if she's all right. He reassures the junior that she's only carrying light items. The guys behind Sagawa look completely smitten, saying this is exactly what they expected. The next day, Takamori's phone shows it's nearly noon, and she's still asleep. Shugawa knocks on her bedroom door, thinking it's practically noon, and she still sounds out cold. Since he's the usual one for this task, she ties her hair back, mentioning it's a shared space. Determined, she resolves to give it her all, watching the girl head towards the bathroom. He recalls her promise to try her hardest again, and as he vacuums the living room, he can't shake her words. A loud noise from the bathroom startles him. He rushes out, knocking on the door, asking if she's all right. He spots her next to the bathtub, drenched, with the shower running on the floor. She mentioned she could get soaked in her clothes. She apologizes for forgetting to turn off the shower, admitting her carelessness. Still a bit shocked by the sight before him, he stands there. If she's fine, then it can't be too serious. She should just call for him if anything happens. Returning to the living room, he begins mopping, but distracting thoughts invade his mind. He pictures her in that wet shirt and tells himself to stop having inappropriate thoughts while cleaning. He quickens his mopping, trying to concentrate solely on the task at hand to banish those thoughts. With a towel in hand, Shuga hears her shout from the bathroom that she's done 30 minutes later. He hands her the towel, drying her back, reminding her that despite her fatigue, she's still got things done. Tokomori grabs one end of the towel, used to dry her. He wipes his face with it, complimenting her on a job well done. Flustered by her gentle touch, he insists he'll handle the rest of the cleaning and she should rest. Moments later, he turns around cheerfully, saying he'll finish up the cleaning shortly. Only then does he notice the wet footprints leading from the bathroom to her bedroom. Naturally, the floor shines brightly after he mopped over her footprints a second time while she slept. On a day off, a package arrives for Tokomori, which Shugawa picks up and brings to her. Of course, she's napping on the couch. He thinks it's the first time he's seen her so relaxed and decides to leave the package on the table. She expresses a desire to open it immediately, making him nervous as she stretches to sit up. Feeling anxious, he ends up opening the package for her while she settles back on the couch. Inside, he finds a puzzle, and her excitement shows as she realizes it's finally here. He notices it's a completely white puzzle. She thinks it looks challenging, but wants to give it a shot. Holding a piece, she suggests they can work on it together if he's interested. Her enthusiasm is infectious, and she says she'll prepare to tackle the puzzle, while he thinks they look more like a couple than colleagues. He starts daydreaming about them together. She returns with her hair tied up and glasses on, declaring that puzzles are a race against time, and they should aim to finish in under 5 hours. She plans to start with the edges and corners, handing him the edge pieces, while he realizes he's never seen her in glasses before. He starts to understand that things are taking an unexpected turn. It feels more like they're working together now. Even at home, she seems fully alert, just like on a regular workday. After an hour, he proudly presents her with a small, completed section of the puzzle. As he approaches, he notices she has already finished a significant portion of the puzzle on her own. She spots him and apologizes, saying she forgot he was helping and that he must feel a bit left out. He shakes his head, trying to dismiss any inappropriate thoughts, and thinks about how seriously she takes her hobbies. He resolves to give it his all as well. Her eyes sparkle with happiness. They both dive into the puzzle together. A few hours later, with smiles on their faces, they announce the puzzle is complete. Overjoyed, she leaps into Suga's arms, celebrating their accomplishment. All he can think about is how her body feels pressed against his. She mentions it even made her feel sleepy while hugging him. He offers her coffee, reaching for a cup across the puzzle. Of course, he misses the cup, spilling coffee all over the puzzle they just completed. In a panic, he exclaims that the puzzle is completely ruined. She gently places her hand on his head, reassuring him that it's all right. She adds that what matters most to her isn't the puzzle, but his support. He's overjoyed by her words, momentarily speechless. She's ecstatic about her words, left momentarily speechless, unsure how to respond. She mentions that next time, they'll tackle a puzzle with 1,000 pieces. Ultimately, they ended up framing the stained puzzle anyway, and those stains still resemble a kitten. Owana is on the phone while Mishi and Sagawa observe her, questioning if it's truly necessary today. She then explains, covering the phone's mic, that the company demands the goods today, leaving the two stunned, insisting it's impossible. It took her more than that. She raises her hand and looks at them. She assures them she'll lend a hand. The woman expresses her gratitude as she walks past Sugawa, offering him a subtle smile. Later that night, at home, the boy reflects on how dependable she is, hoping she doesn't overexert herself. A knock at the door interrupts him. He rushes to answer, expecting Tokomori. Upon opening the door, he discovers her collapsed on the ground, fast asleep. He checks on her, asking if she's all right, and she replies she's at her limit. The boy helps her up, insisting she needs to get to her room. As he carries her, she apologizes, claiming he must be tired too, but he brushes it off, saying there's no way he feels fatigued. Gazing at her, he remarks that she works harder than anyone, and if he can assist, he will. He then lays her on the bed, telling her to wait a moment while he fetches something. When he returns, he finds her on the bed, her tights twisted around her legs. Stammering at the sight, he awkwardly mentions he brought her a change of clothes. In a weary voice, she softly admits she can't manage it alone and needs his help to change. Stunned, embarrassed, and bewildered, he wonders if she genuinely wants him to assist her with changing. He approaches her and helps untangle the tights from her legs. After that, she rolls onto her back, already half asleep, while he begins to slowly take for bluffs, thinking he's merely caring for her, nothing more. After removing her blouse, she mentions he needs to take off the rest, but she needs to raise her arms. Like a beautiful zombie, she lifts her arms and Sir Gil drapes a sweater over her. Smiling, the girl thanks him, while he thinks he managed to do what was necessary without any inappropriate thoughts, wishing her a good rest. As he stands up, the girl asks him to wait and pulls him by the arm. This causes him to lose his balance and he falls onto her bed. They end up face to face, their faces mere inches apart. Sugawa found himself on top of her. He starts to focus on her face and lips. After swallowing hard, he inches his face closer to hers as she softly calls his name. She then apologizes for pulling him in so suddenly, prompting him to quickly pull back. She turns to her side, continuing to say that she always causes him trouble. He wonders why Sugawa keeps doing all this for her. The boy starts to cover her up, asking if that was all she wanted to know, adding that he has no specific reason. He shares that his father passed away from an illness, and his mother ended up overworking herself because of it. Seeing her become more overwhelmed each day led him to a realization. No one can handle everything alone, and that's why, if they work together, everything will be all right. Looking at her, Sugawa assures her that when she's weary, he'll gladly help. Smiling, he apologizes for rambling, while she sweetly tells him not to worry, thanking him for sharing his story and expressing her happiness. She becomes embarrassed, nervously laughing. He hands her a pillow, reminding her not to forget to rest well. As he exits her room, he notices she's different from usual, likely exhausted from all the overtime. Suddenly, she softly murmurs as if in a dream that she likes that aspect of him. He hears it, and it keeps replaying in his mind, filling him with joy. His phone rang on the table while he basked in the happiness of her words. When he answers his brother's call, he asks how things are going, and the boy replies, "Everything's fine, thanks to his older brother's help." Noticing the boy's cheerful tone, his brother inquires if something good happened. The boy chuckles and shifts the topic, asking why his little brother called. Then the younger brother mentions he's planning to stay at his place the next day. Nervously, he questions why he's doing that out of the blue, but the brother simply apologizes, saying he'll catch a night bus, then abruptly hangs up. They're stunned, contemplating what he might reveal to his brother regarding Tokomori. The following day, a boy is thrilled to finally reach Tokyo, only to be interrupted by someone returning his wallet. He glances at the wallet's returner, captivated by her beauty, and wonders if his brother is already dating. A man steps in, instructing the woman to turn away and let him finish, while she insists she's done talking. The boy perceives it as a couple's spat and calls his brother Sobella, urging him to hurry and meet up. At home, Sudoa yells for Tokimori from the entrance, announcing his departure, but with no reply, he questions if she's already gone. As he strolls down the street, he texts his younger brother, advising him to call if anything arises. Upon reaching their meeting point, he searches for his brother, hearing someone shout his name from behind. His younger sibling beams and waves, exclaiming, "It's been ages since they last met." Sugar is taken aback by his brother's appearance and immediately inquires about his hair. When asked if he dyed it, the younger brother chuckles, explaining that Shugawa helped him get into college, prompting him to try new things. He then asks Shugawa about his new apartment, and Sugawa mentions he has something to clarify. Later, we hear the younger brother shouting at the older one, demanding to know what he means by living with a woman. The older brother hugs him, covering his mouth to silence him, stating that things just happened and he booked a hotel room. Eagerly, the younger one asks if he can at least meet the girl. The older brother stands there, looking foolish and silent, while the younger brother complains about feeling lonely at the hotel. He insists on ensuring she's not a bad person, but Goa believes it's impossible for Tokumori to be bad. She saved his life. Later, back at the apartment, he tells his younger brother he can say hi to the girl. Arriving at the door, he instructs his little brother to wait while he goes inside to call her. Inside, a girl in an apron with her hair tied back greets him with a warm smile. He's astonished to see her in an apron as she apologizes for leaving without informing him. She mentions she prepared lunch but got a bit carried away. She shows him a table laden with mouth-watering dishes. Shuga is impressed by her culinary skills, and she hopes he enjoys the meal. Suddenly, his stomach growls loudly, and he apologizes, admitting he's starving and the food looks incredible. Tokomori scoops a spoonful of food, bringing it to his mouth, urging him to open up. Surprised by her gesture, he complies and opens his mouth. With an adorable expression, she gazes at him, asking how the food tastes. Goa finds it delicious, declaring it perfect, which makes her wonder why he's being so formal. She mentions she'll start cleaning up while he offers to help, but she insists she can manage alone. He processes her words, knowing she wouldn't typically say something like that, while his little brother calls from the door. Then, the younger brother bursts in, introducing himself as the older boy's sibling, while Shuga thinks he shouldn't have entered like that. The little brother halts mid-sentence, recognizing the girl, who looks back at him in confusion. The older brother asks if he knows her, and he confirms he remembers seeing her during the argument at the station. He mentions he witnessed her arguing with a man outside a cafe. The kid inquires about what happened that morning that led to her confrontation. She hesitates, trying to figure out how to respond, still taken aback by the boy's unexpected arrival. Noticing her anxiety, Sugawa apologizes, explaining that his little brother is being impolite. The kid then shares that his first girlfriend cheated on him multiple times, claiming women can be great actresses. He adds that his older brother is quite handsome. He decides to stay at the house today, asking her to be a good host and take care of him. Shuga is shocked by his brother's behavior, while Tokomori reassures him it's fine as she made plenty of food. The three of them sit down to eat, and a heavy silence envelops the table, with Shuga feeling uneasy. He wonders why his brother is acting this way. He starts to question if something truly happened with a girl. He realizes he doesn't know much about her life or anything else. After dinner, as they prepare for bed, Sugawa asks if he can share the bed with his brother, and she agrees. In the middle of the night, both boys are asleep. Tokomori quietly enters their room, softly calling Sugawa's name to wake him. He jumps in shock, nearly screaming, but she places a finger on his lips, urging him to be quiet so he doesn't wake the younger brother. She whispers that she has something to share before sleep. He replies it's fine and asks what's on her mind. The girl mentions wanting to discuss his earlier comments, but Sergola quickly interjects, claiming his brother talks too much. That was likely a private matter. She expresses a desire to clarify things, fearing he might be let down by her. Maravisti reassures her that no explanation is necessary. She has her own struggles, and that's perfectly fine. He acknowledges her daily efforts, no matter the challenges she faces. She can always rely on him. They share a home and stand as allies. After a few moments, she gazes at him, smiles, leans in, and softly thanks him. Out of nowhere, Shuga, the little brother, suddenly wakes up, shouting that the girl is sneaking onto the bed. Both of them turn, startled by his outburst. He states this is exactly what he anticipated, and now he can't trust Tokomori. He jumps out of bed, grabs his bag, and pulls his older brother, warning her that she'll end up emptying his wallet, suggesting they head to the hotel. Tokomori stands there, frozen, confusion etched on her face, not grasping what just transpired, while Sugiue is dragged out by his younger sibling. The two brothers, after escaping the house, spent the night at a hotel. The younger brother inquires if Sugarway is heading to the company, to which he replies he's returning home to handle some matters outside the office. They bid farewell, with the older brother reminding him to be careful. Meanwhile, that morning, Tokomori glances at the office clock and realizes the time. She rises with documents in hand, wondering where Sugoi is, when a co-worker informs her he has tasks to attend to outside the company today. She asks if she can leave the documents with Nishi, who agrees. Another co-worker comments that Tokomori always finds a way to resolve everything. Nishi, examining the document from our girl, spots a minor typo and remarks that it's unusual for her to make such an error. Mori, sitting alone on the floor of the empty hallway, recalls the scene of Shigawa being pulled out of the house yesterday, feeling sad. Her phone buzzes, revealing a message from the boy. Later that day, Shuga strolls down the street as rain begins to fall. He notices something. As he approaches, he spots Tokomori walking ahead. Then he realizes she's heading in the opposite direction from home and wonders where she's off to. Nearby, the girl stands in front of a building when someone calls her name. A charming young man approaches her, asking if she's finally being truthful with herself. He hesitates to mention that she might still be upset over their breakup, but urges her to let it go. He extends his hand, inviting her to return to him. After a brief pause, she leans in slightly as if to express gratitude. Then she apologizes, stating it wouldn't work anymore. Tokomori insists it's only been a few weeks, claiming she could be the perfect woman for him, but she can't forget his words. She flashes back to a conversation where he asked about the food, and she replied she was tired but could whip up something quick. The handsome guy then accuses her of just lounging around doing nothing. He continues, saying that as a woman, Tokomori should at least know how to cook, questioning if she can't even manage that. He goes on, asserting that household chores are a woman's responsibility and that she relies on others, concluding she's a failure as a woman. She recalls entering the kitchen, crying heavily after everything he said. The guy claims that if she's willing to cooperate, they can start fresh, asking if that's not what she desires. She gazes into his eyes, stating she doesn't want to go. The girl apologizes and pulls out her phone to delete his contact. Noticing her actions, he seizes her hand and pulls her aggressively as she screams for him to stop. Suddenly, Han appears out of nowhere, grabbing the handsome guy's hand. The girl is taken aback by this unexpected person entering the car. In the midst of the conversation, our heroic Sugo embraces Tokomori, pulling the other guy's disgusting hand away from her. Holding her close, Shogawa confronts the other man, demanding to know what he thinks he's doing. The man looks at our boy with curiosity, asking who he is. Shogawa introduces himself as her co-worker, explaining he noticed she was in trouble. The guy interrupts, dismissing him as just a stranger meddling in affairs uninvited. Our boy responds that for personal reasons, he and she are now living together, and he couldn't overlook a situation like this. The handsome guy laughs, claiming it makes sense why they seem so close and live together, answering his own question. Inen states that they share something in common. He used to be her boyfriend. He finally puts it together. This guy is someone significant. Seeing the sorrow in her eyes, he realizes this is her ex, the one she mentioned. The ex leans in, asking how long they've been cohabiting. Still chuckling, he remarks on her cuteness but notes her utter carelessness. Takamori stares blankly as her ex claims she could only last a week living with her. No laundry skills, no cooking. The girl shuts her eyes, tormented by her ex's words about her skipping chores and failing as a woman. She responds, insisting she's doing her utmost. Takamori opens her eyes, tears welling up. He keeps insisting no one can handle everything alone. The ex-boyfriend shoves our guy, questioning if he's suggesting he's at fault. Sugawa stumbles from the scene, landing in a puddle as Takamori drops her umbrella and yells his name. The ex strides toward a car while she rushes to Sugawa, asking if he's all right. He quickly stands, urging they escape the rain. Kokomori gazes at him, tears streaming down her face. He realizes he sent all that without her consent and starts to apologize, but she cuts him off, saying his effort to find her means everything. That alone brings her to tears, filling her with joy. So, he reassures her, telling her not to dwell on her ex's hurtful comments. Then he notices her white shirt is completely transparent from the rain. He removes his jacket, draping it over her as she smiles at him. Takamori takes his hand, noting they're both drenched anyway. They might as well embrace the rain. The following morning, Shugwa strolls back from the market, worried he might have caught a cold from yesterday's downpour. Near the market's exit, Takamori's ex calls out to him. He asks if Sugawa has a moment to chat. The text displays profiles of women on social media, and Sugawa is baffled by the situation. Then he inquires about Sugawa's type, while Sugawa, feeling awkward, glances away, groceries in hand. Unable to take it anymore, he demands to know what's happening. The ex claims he can introduce Shigola to any girl he likes, mentioning one who thrives in a family setting and dreams of being a housewife. He insists Sugawa should break things off with Takamori, assuring him he'll forget her quickly. The ex figures Sugawa doesn't seem like the popular type, so he'll likely fall for his scheme. But Sugawa apologizes, asserting that Takamori is genuinely a wonderful woman. He adds that people have many facets, and he's come to appreciate Takamori's many beautiful qualities. The ex suddenly recalls a dinner where someone mentioned he might be good with people, but lacked fun. He also remembers her praising him to everyone. Suba interrupts Haruto's thoughts, commenting that he seems like a nice guy. The handsome man with a serious tone questions what Sugawa really knows about him and tells him to cut the nonsense. He stands up and leaves, stating he doesn't want to waste his time, leaving Sugawa utterly perplexed. Just then, his phone rings. It's his little brother with big news. He reveals that his girlfriend didn't cheat. She was out with her cousin shopping for his birthday gift. Feeling emotional? Sugawa feels a wave of relief, so that's all it was. Love truly is remarkable. His brother adds he'll apologize when they meet again, and wants updates on how things are with Takamori. After the call, Shubu realizes his brother still believes there's more between him and Takamori. He arrives home and opens the door, finding the girl sprawled on the floor. Surprised by his return, she clutches her phone. She beams at him, quickly getting up as he wonders if she had been waiting. Suddenly she embraces him, thanking him for yesterday, leaving Shigawa stunned and dropping his grocery bag. The shock hits him hard, making it difficult to breathe. His vision blurs as he collapses into Takamori's embrace. Gol wakes up in bed, a thermometer showing. His sight starts to fade as he falls into Takamori's embrace. Gol stirs awake in bed, a thermometer reading beside him. He feels feverish, realizing he's definitely caught a cold. It's been 2 days since everything with Takamori, and he's relieved it's him who got sick, not her. Out of nowhere, the girl appears at his bedroom door, asking if he's all right while bringing in soup. He questions her absence from work. She settles beside him on the bed, noting how unwell he looks, and mentions she requested to work from home to care for him. With a radiant smile, she assures him that today, she's the one looking after him. Feeling shy, he thanks her as she mentions there's still time before work starts, hinting she might stay longer. She picks up a spoon, blows on it, and encourages him to open his mouth. With a small smile, she brings the spoon closer to him while he's still stunned by the sudden turn of events. An alarm goes off, reminding her it's set to ring 10 minutes before work. She leaves the porridge with him and steps out. Holding the bowl, he thinks he should feel miserable and exhausted, yet he's surprisingly happy, recalling Tokomori's smile. After finishing his porridge, he opens the door, deciding to at least attempt the dishes. Upon entering, he finds her engrossed in her laptop, focused and dedicated to her work. He smiles, love-struck, wraps a scarf around his neck, and heads back too, dreaming of Tokomori, realizing he needs to wake up drenched in sweat. As he gradually awakens, he notices he's sweating profusely, having dozed off just as a hand brushes his forehead. Only then does he see Tokomori lying next to him on the bed. Surprised, jumps and watches as she offers to dry him off, but he grabs a small towel, insisting he can manage the front. While she dries his back, he feels her presence. He wonders if this is a risky situation. Finally, she leans against him. Her entire body presses against his, and he whispers softly, hoping he recovers from his cold soon. Looking back nervously, he sees she's fallen asleep on his back. He gently shifts away, warning her that if she sleeps on the floor, she might catch a cold. He doesn't even realize he's fully recovered from taking care of her. One beautiful morning, Sugarwell arrives at the office, greeting everyone when he notices a scene unfolding. Michio is crying, pleading with Tokomori to help her. She explains she's been tasked with training new hires and it's too much for her to handle alone. That's when the new employee, Igor Reshiazuzev, makes an entrance. She whispers that the new girl previously worked in advertising and could be a threat if people aren't cautious. The new girl approaches them, addressing the part-timer, claiming there's an urgent issue that needs resolving by tomorrow, making Sagawa wonder if she's referring to him. She strides up to him, dumps a pile of papers into his hands, and instructs him to complete the work since she has a meeting, and no time. She walks away, telling him to hand it over when he's finished, while Missy sneaks up behind Sabila, declaring he's the new girl's target. Mishi continues, explaining that the new girl always finds ways to dodge tedious tasks, ultimately reaping the rewards. Mora steps forward, loudly stating that Shigawa isn't obligated to do her work, causing her to stop and turn. Our girl then declares she'll oversee the training of the new hire today. Tunk and Mori begin outlining the steps for a specific task, but the new girl interrupts, claiming she doesn't understand and can't remember how to do it. Egarashi looks at L's Tokomori, realizing she's struggling. Our girl reassures her that she doesn't have to tackle everything alone, emphasizing they're developing new methods to achieve their goals. She adds that if anything arises, she can rely on those around her. Anger flares and she starts trembling with rage as Komori walks away. Later that night at home, Sugawa checks in on her while she sprawls on the couch. She admits she can't move, and he thinks she appears more vulnerable than ever. Smiling, Sugawa observes her, noting she seemed really impressive today. He mentions she was also wonderful when she cared for him, regretting he never got to thank her. He offers to help with anything she needs. She extends her hand toward him, leaving him puzzled about what's happening. Then, with a smile, she asks if he could massage her hand. As he begins to massage her hand, Sogowen Noves notices how soft her hands are, questioning if he should even be doing this. While he begins to massage her hand, Sogowen Noves notices how delicate her hands feel and questions whether he should be doing this at all. She grips his hand firmly. With an intense gaze, she declares that's sufficient. Flustered, he stammers, expressing his happiness. Then she wishes Tokomura a good night, convinced he'll sleep soundly. Nighttime. Meanwhile, Igarashi is busy sending an email. A sly grin spreads across her face, like she's just pulled a fast one. The office buzzes with activity. Everyone is glued to their phones. They stroll by in the background, carrying a box of documents, while Takamori chats on the phone when a man calls out to her. Surprised, she turns when he requests her presence in the conference room for a discussion. Later in the conference room, the man reads a report claiming she failed to teach anything and reprimanded someone. Tochimori listens, bewildered, as he mentions receiving complaints about her. She tries to respond, but the manager interrupts. He states he'll consult other employees to verify the claims. Devastated, our girl exits the conference room, lost in her thoughts when someone beside her praises her. The new employee grins at her with a sinister look. Loudly, she thanks her for the hard work today, drawing everyone's attention. Next, she observes Tokomori in her chair, contemplating how downcast and pitiful she must feel. Sugar is caught off guard when the man shows him the report about Tokomori needing a third opinion. Our girl stands behind them, her expression gloomy. After reading the report, our boy remarks, "Something feels off. The person described doesn't match Tokomori at all." Her eyes brighten at this, while the new girl watches her plan unravel. Igara stands up, approaching the boy, urging him to examine the report closely, and Sugawa immediately asks if she authored it. He turns the report toward her, highlighting several typos, while the new girl stares in disbelief. The boss then instructs everyone to return to their tasks. Shugoen notices he and Tokomori are back to back, and she's secretly poking him. She turns to him, her face lighting up with joy. Just then, someone requests Tokomori's help, and she eagerly rushes to assist her friend. Igar sits at her computer, bored with data checking, when she realizes someone is calling her. The older man inquires if she's free and if he can trust her with a new project. She stands up beaming and affirms her willingness to work. On her screen, a message appears. The system will restart in 30 minutes. Later, Akali walks by Igarashi asking if she saved the data on her computer, and she quickly replies yes, even though her computer indicates otherwise. The following day, Igar arrives at work to find a commotion. She inquires if something is wrong, and a woman replies they were waiting for her. The warning states that the event data they've been working on since the year began has vanished from the cloud. They need to print everything immediately, asking if Igar knows anything about it. The woman questions if Igarashi modified the data, insisting they must print it today or risk running out of time. Embarrassed, Igar wonders why she's being asked and why she should know. Then she recalls the warning messages about the restart, the data wipe, and her co-worker asking if she saved everything. Snapping back to reality, Igar. She ponders while the woman asks if she has any ideas. Suddenly, it dawns on her that no one informed her of the data's significance. She mentions that she was instructed to leave everything unchanged, claiming Tokomori told her that. She starts to explain when a client arrives. The woman interrupts, questioning if she truly left the data unsaved and why she's so careless. She states she can't trust the girl with anything right now. Igarashi is left speechless, stunned by the harsh words, just as Tokomori arrives, apologizing for her tardiness. She turns to our girl, asking why she's late on such a crucial day. Tokomori hands her a flash drive, saying it's a backup she had at home. After taking the flash drive, the man asks if Takamori is responsible for training the new girl and what her plan is regarding the incident. The new hire feels anxious as our girl gazes at her and states was her responsibility since she oversaw the newcomer. She then expresses regret to the woman for any trouble she might have caused. Tokomori smiles, glancing aside, and asks if Igarashi can handle the process monitoring for Mawan. After hours of effort, everyone rejoices as they successfully deliver everything needed by day's end. Suddenly, the phone on Igara's desk rings and she answers it. After a brief pause, she turns to Tokomori, stating she must transfer the call to planning, clearly seeking assistance. Cheerfully, our girl assists Igarashi by providing the department's extension number. Soonville, sneaking back home from work, thinks Tokomori must be worn out, recalling the chaos he heard about. Upon opening the bedroom door, he finds the girl bundled in, blankets, and grabs another to ensure she stays warm. He then pulls back her blanket to adjust it, only to discover Takamori is completely bare underneath. Realizing her state, Sabua panics and quickly rewraps her in the blankets before she stirs. Now cozy and warm, our boy reflects on how vulnerable she appears. Tokomori beams at her computer, and our boy notices, curious about what she's up to. He comments on her apparent enjoyment, and she reveals she's watching a live aquarium stream, observing the fish swim. He invites her to join him at the aquarium, and she eagerly agrees. However, she tires from walking and struggles to fully enjoy the outing. Noticing a pamphlet in his hand, Sergel gets an idea and asks her to hold on while he steps outside. When he returns, he presents a bag filled with supplies, claiming he got them at a bargain. With excitement, he explains that they can create an aquarium in their living room using those materials. Brimming with enthusiasm, he begins sketching on paper, suggesting they can make fish and stick them to the walls for ambiance. He proudly displays his drawing to her. The girl gazes at one of his creations and cutely asks what it is. He replies that it's a penguin. Shugawa is about to continue speaking when he notices Tokomori, her face lit up with laughter, shaking with joy. She then collapses to the floor, laughing uncontrollably, prompting him to ask if she's all right. After a moment, she apologizes while attaching the paper fish to the wall. He admits he's never been a great artist, while she insists he has a distinctive drawing style, clearly trying to suppress her laughter. Looking back at the smiling girl, he thinks she's genuinely having a great time. As time passes, Tokomori announces she's completed part of the project, while Sugawa states he's ready to switch on the lights and test the... Once they turn on the lights, both are astonished by the result. She gazes at the walls, eyes wide, exclaiming it's stunning, and that the entire setup feels like a date to her. Then she turns to him, suggesting they stroll through the aquarium. She takes his hand, guiding him, saying the kitchen represents the jellyfish zone, the hallways mimic ocean currents, and they can even spot dolphins. He'll be taken aback when Takamori announces they've finally reached the penguin section, where a family stands in a row. She beams and points to the goofy penguin he sketched, declaring them adorable. Suga feels that being by Tokomori's side makes his heart race. Gazing at her profile, he wishes he understood how she felt. She glances at the pen he made and asks if she can take it with her. He stares, puzzled by her request, and she asks if she can make it cuter. He relents, saying it's fine, and she beams with joy. The following day, the boy radiates happiness, thinking he couldn't be more content. Then we see his penguin stuck on Tokomori's F, while Mishi inquires eagerly about what it is, commenting on its messy appearance. Nishi loudly questions Igarashi about the man. The girl clarifies that he's her trainer and friend, renowned for winning numerous bodybuilding contests. As Takamura passes by, Nishi shouts and shows her the tablet, asking for her opinion on the man. She takes the tablet, stating that people who train are impressive. Nearby, the other guys at work overhear. They start declaring their intentions to join the gym and eat healthily. That night, after his shower, Shukwa pauses to examine his reflection in the mirror. He recalls Tokomori's words from that morning at work, thinking that if he changes, perhaps she'll start to notice. The following day, he was working out in his room when the girl woke up and inquired about his activities. He mentioned he hadn't exercised in a while and decided to start with some stretches before strength training. Excited, the girl offered to join him, and he proposed they work out together. She changed into workout clothes, tied her hair back, and apologized for the wait. With her thumb in hand, she asked if he wanted to try a workout routine. He agreed, thinking about how enjoyable this would be. Most of the time, sitting on the floor, she pulled his arms while he stretched his back, shaking all over. She asked if she wondered if he wanted to switch places while he pondered why it was so challenging. When they did switch, he realized how much more flexible she was. They kept up with the stretching, both trembling until Komori showed her effortless flexibility. After 30 minutes, feeling exhausted, he declared he was flexible enough and it was time for strength training. The girl collapsed on the floor, sweaty and fatigued, while he checked if she was all right. She admitted she was already worn out from stretching and apologized for lacking energy, saying she thought she could do anything if she tried hard enough. She decided to grab her towel and began to say something motivational. He reassured her that even if she felt she couldn't do it, it was impressive that she had come this far. Her eyes widened as he continued, mentioning it was his first time doing this too, and they would progress together step by step. Blushing, Takamori agreed, and he announced he would start doing sit-ups. She got excited and offered to hold his feet. He positioned himself, thinking that even a little he wanted to impress her. As they came up during the sit-up, he noticed the position she was in while holding his feet. Fixing his gaze on her, he abruptly stood up, declaring it was better. Instead, he decided to go for a run, and she, confused, wished him a good run. He promised himself he wouldn't return home until he calmed down. Naturally, the next day, all his muscles were. Nishi and Igarashi were all dressed up in coats. Workers stopped next to Subo, asking why they were so dressed up. The boy explained it was likely due to the photo shoot for the updated pamphlets. Desperate, Nishi asked Fukumori to help fix her hair since time was running out before the shoot. The girl styled Nishi's hair, complimenting her on how great she looked, just as the photographer requested to enter the room, introducing himself as Dimitri. Shigawa asked if his camera was the latest model, sparking a discussion about cameras. He then instructed the photographer to begin taking photos according to the list. While Takamori noticed a loose strand, Suga was hit. The girl reached over, touching his head, startling him as she fixed his hair, commenting on its softness. He thanked her as she walked by, and the photographer seized the moment to snap a photo of her back. After a while, everyone was laughing and enjoying themselves, and the photographer announced the session was over, thanking everyone. Then the approach Tokomori, expressing a desire to take more photos of her, but wanted her to pose as a more refined woman. He pulled out his camera, instructing her to smile. He asked her to act as if she were using a keyboard. Then he crouched down, taking photos from angles that made the girl feel extremely uncomfortable, until Suga placed a hand on the guy's shoulder. He asked what on earth he was doing. The girl looked at him in shock, while our boy insisted he couldn't take photos that weren't on the list. Upset, the guy told him not to act like a nice guy and stormed off. Leaving Sugawa and Tokomori alone, he walked with the girl to the kitchen, asking if she was all right, to which she replied yes and apologized. Then she smiled, saying she should have been clearer in saying no. He remembered the expression on her face and insisted that wasn't what happened. He then said she wanted to refuse but was scared, assuring her none of it was her fault. Tears filled the girl's eyes, and our boy said he hadn't meant to make her cry. Suddenly, someone shoved Shigawa from behind, causing him to pin Kokomori against the wall in a rather suggestive manner, just as someone snapped a photo. The photographer then remarked in a threatening tone that our boys were caught up in an office romance. Gazing at the pair, the photographer noted a private relationship seemed to be developing within the company and questioned if she was aware. Observing the duo, the photographer muses about a hidden connection brewing in the company. He questions whether she even knows about it. Shogot suddenly connects the dots, accusing the man of pushing him and wanting to inform Komori. The man scrolls through his camera photos, pausing on one of them, questioning if the boss will review these. As he exits the room, he warns that the photo could end up on the boss's desk, among others. Takamori approaches, offering to explain the situation to the boss, and he reflects on the man's words. He agrees that their dynamic has shifted recently. The staged photo reaches the higher-ups, who suspect a romantic involvement, which could spell trouble for Tokomon. Later that night, back home, the girl mentions how exhausting the day was, and that she ordered pizza. Sugos reassures her that ordering pizza occasionally is perfectly fine as they sit down to eat. He relishes his slice, struggling to recall the last time he enjoyed pizza at home. Later in bed, our boy remains awake. He stares at the ceiling before finally shutting his eyes, attempting to drift off. You sense a presence on the bed as Tokomori snuggles into the blanket. This leaves him completely frozen and anxious. He turns to her, asking if she's a bit too close, while she apologizes for waking him. She shifts to her side, sharing that while they ate pizza, everything felt just right. After their meal, she senses a different atmosphere, and he thinks she might be concerned about him. She cuddles him from behind, closing her eyes. Meanwhile, Segwa lies wide-eyed, unable to believe this is actually happening. Her body presses against his back as she suggests they might feel more comfortable holding each other. Shugawa thinks it's true he's been down, but there's no way he can sleep like this. The next day, a man approaches our boy, asking if he was responsible for the photos. He heads to the computer with the man, exchanging a quick, nervous glance with Tokomori as they start reviewing the submitted photos. The man points to a picture where they appear happy while chatting. The background features flowers and birds. He explains that the photography studio representative is his niece, and while reviewing the photos, she asked him something. The question was whether Tokomori would be interested in modeling for her. Everyone is taken aback and thrilled by the idea, including the girl, who beams with joy. Meanwhile, Suba remains stunned by their reaction. A few days later, the couple meets at a stunning church. Subila remarks that it's his first visit, while the girl wonders if their attire is appropriate. A girl with shaved sides approaches them politely, and they quickly recognize her as the boss's niece. She quickly apologizes, then introduces herself as Ibuki Sakuta, offering them drinks. She explains that after reviewing the photos Demichi sent, they noticed many didn't align with the company's requests. Ibuki bows deeply, profusely apologizing and expressing her embarrassment. Takamori reassures her that over-apologizing isn't necessary. Our girl tries to steer the conversation back to their purpose, but the representative glances at the clock, gasping in shock that it's already late. Someone enters and informs Ibuki that it's time, and she confirms they can now guide the model. Soba West, still on the couch, asks the girl what she should do next. Ibuki finds the photo they analyzed featuring both of them and shows it to confirm it was indeed our boy with Tokomori. She hands the photo to our boy, who admires the beautiful image, while the girl expresses her love for it and wishes to keep it. As she leaves, she tells him to look at that photo when Tokomori wears the dress. Suddenly, he snaps out of his admiration and asks, "What dress?" Then it dawns on him that this is a wedding photo shoot, and he honestly wants to see Tokomori as a bride. Gathering his courage, he sets off to find the girl, recalling where she went when she left, turning a corner and asking for permission as he enters. Inside, he finds Tokomori looking absolutely stunning in her wedding dress, her hair. She spots him and calls his name, leaving him speechless at her beauty. Finding his voice, he tells her she looks incredible, like a true model, while she thinks she appears a bit odd. Excited, he insists she looks anything but strange. Takamori blushes, her face as red as a tomato, while Ibuki in the background starts giggling. Everyone around them falls silent, smiling at our boy, and he realizes he must have said something embarrassingly loud. Flustered, he turns away, walking off while apologizing for interrupting, as Tokomori cheerfully calls out, "See you later." Before stepping out, he takes one last glance, marveling at her stunning beauty. The Mookie snaps multiple photos of her, saying encouraging words and requests another shot. She then asks Tokomori to gaze at her as if she were the love of his life. With a loving expression, she captures the coordinator's smile, who praises her efforts. The following day, Sugawa is bombarded by coworkers, all demanding to know why he didn't bring any Tokomori photos, while the boss shouts for everyone to focus. One evening, Sugawa rushes home, apologizing for his tardiness due to a stop at the Sa. He finds Tokomori on the floor, 2 bags flanking her. Startled, Lee inquires about the situation, and she explains they need to discuss something. She reveals that Nishi fell down the station stairs and is at the hospital for tests, all while she was returning from work. Still on the line with her friend, she offers Nishi help if needed, to which Nishi responds that there is indeed something she could use assistance with. Glancing at the other bag, Shibuya realizes she'll be caring for Nishi's pet for a day. Takamori apologizes for making decisions unilaterally, but Sugilas reassures her it's all right since Nishi needed support. The girl beams, and still gazing at her, asks if they'll be looking after a kitten or a bunny. As he nears the bag, a sudden bark startles him. The next day, a playful little dog wags its tail at Tokomori, who announces that she and Momo will be having fun today. Then Tokomori turns to Subila, who is peeking from behind the bedroom door, asking if he's truly okay with all this. He replies from a distance that a dog once bit him as a child, leaving him a bit traumatized. He remarks on how adorable she looks with the little dog in her arms, stating that's all behind him and he's ready to face his fears. She stands, holding a small ball to play with Momo, mentioning the puppy will tire her out quickly if they play too much. Tokomori promises to call them when she's done. 10 minutes later, our girl lies on the floor utterly spent, with a puppy resting on her head. He opens the door to find her sprawled out, declaring she can't continue, while the little dog runs in circles around her, making him think puppies have endless energy. As she lies there, Momo starts tugging at her shirt with her mouth, exposing parts of her body. He steps forward, kneeling to call the little dog, telling her to stop. He manages to catch Momo's attention as she looks at him. Suddenly, the pup leaps toward him, giving Sugawa a fright as he trembles and yells for her to calm down and wait. The pup nestles her head between the boy's fingers before darting off, sitting beside the dog food bag, clearly asking to be fed. While the pup eats, he checks on Tokomori, asking if she's all right. She opens her eyes, apologizing for putting him through all this. In that moment, he realizes that in his eagerness to help her, he ended up grabbing the dog without thinking. He reflects on how much joy Tokomori is experiencing with the pup, and that she did it to inspire him to conquer his fears. He smiles, grateful for her encouragement. The girl looks at him with happiness while he stares at his fingers, still processing what just happened. Then, as he gazes at his open hands, she suggests they could play like that too. She then rests her smiling face against his fingers. He blushes, thinking about how soft her cheeks feel. Suddenly, he feels a gentle bite on his other hand. Turning his head, he sees Momo with his hand in her mouth. Startled, Sugawa yells, while Tokomori asks if he's all right, noting that since Nishi wasn't seriously hurt, the dog was returned without any issues. She embraces Toku, apologizing for interrupting her medical checkup, and the other girl expresses relief that it wasn't anything serious. Shugo, feeling cheerful, assures her that the pup likely feels the same way. Mishi then turns to him, asking if she mentioned anything about Momo while he stands there, frozen, looking like a Realizing he's made a mistake, he quickly claims it was Tokomori who informed him, but the girl doesn't let it slide, questioning why his fingers are hurt. Tuffin jumps in quickly, explaining he got his fingers caught in the door while he nods vigorously from behind. Letting it go, Mishi hands Tokomori a bag of chocolates, thanking her for looking after Momo. As Shugable walks away, he thinks he really needs to be more cautious with his words, or he'll accidentally reveal they live together. Later that night, Tokomori invites the boy to share the chocolates Nishi gifted her. When they open the box, they discover a selection of delicious and beautifully crafted chocolates. The girl also picks up a bottle of wine, mentioning it was a gift too, suggesting they could enjoy it together. As he wonders if the chocolates are expensive, she surprises him by gazing at him while he stares at the treats. Then he snaps back to reality, insisting he can't eat them since they weren't meant for him. They were for... She looks at him sweetly, softly suggesting he can wait for the next Valentine's Day, picking up one of the chocolates. Before he can even inquire about her meaning, the girl takes the first chocolate and declares it delicious. He wonders if she feels obligated to give him a gift on Valentine's Day as he sips wine with her. An hour passes, and only one chocolate remains in the box. He reflects on how easy it is to get tipsy with just a few sips and tells Tokomori it's time for bed. When he glances to the side, he notices the girl sprawled out on the couch. Her pajamas are disheveled, revealing parts of her body. Glancing sideways, he sees the girl sprawled across the couch. Her pajamas are disheveled, exposing bits of her skin. He contemplates the peril of the situation, swallowing hard. He approaches her, noticing her slightly tipsy state, and calls out her name. The girl giggles, placing both hands on his cheeks. She remarks on how amusing he looks, her smile radiant. Still chuckling at Tsugawa's face, she suddenly collapses from the alcohol. The boy rises, declaring he'll fetch her some water. As he pours a glass, he reflects on how tiring yesterday was, caring for Nishi's puppy, and how defenseless Tokomori becomes when she drinks. He recalls how close her face was to his moments ago while calling her. Kneeling with the water, he reminds himself to be cautious, asking if she can sit up. She grips his shoulders, causing him to wobble, overwhelmed by her weight. Then the mishap occurs. He apologizes for not catching her. She lands on him, staring deeply into his eyes. Sugar gazes directly at her as she looks down at him. Suddenly she leans in, her face drawing nearer. The boy tenses, frozen in confusion, while she continues to gaze at him closely. She inches closer and his heart races at the thought of a kiss. He shuts his eyes, anticipating contact. Takamori kisses Shugawa on the forehead, then pulls back until they're face to face again. Still bewildered by what just transpired, the boy remains motionless. She brushes herself off, claiming it was merely a little goodnight. Shaking, he thinks that was far too much for his fragile heart. He touches his face, recalling how close he was to a heart attack, believing she might kiss him, while she asks if he has a specific dream in mind. Turning slightly, he inquires what she means by specific, and she nods. He can't help but think of a kiss, or something similar, worldly desires and all. He tells her he wishes for a dream where all her desires come true, then flips the question back to her. Laughing, she replies she wants a dream where all his wishes are fulfilled. He grins as she mentions he's a client of her company, where she does a bit of everything. He agrees, noting she just described his job, and she expresses admiration for what they do, saying she enjoys the company they work for. Looking at him, she states that when you desire something, you must give your all, even if it requires a lot of effort. She worked so hard that she eventually realized she couldn't manage anything alone anymore due to exhaustion. Then she continues. She shares that she felt inadequate until Sudaway accepted her as she was. They are truly happy. Lying beside him, she softly and sweetly expresses that their shared memories are beautiful and that he helped her embrace herself. Embarrassed, our boy thanks her for her kind words. Glancing at the ceiling, he admits he didn't think he was that helpful, then turns to Tokimori to continue the conversation, only to find she's already asleep. He finishes his thought in his mind as he closes his eyes, reflecting on how wonderful his days with her are. The following morning, Takamura awakens and notices she's still there. Kugawa, nestled beside her, is resting on her lap. Her first thought is that she can't recall anything that transpired. Noticing where his arm is, she realizes she must escape without waking him. She attempts to slide away, but his arm feels too heavy, trapping her. Struggling to lift his arm, she finds it impossible. His strength causes his hand to drop onto her chest, startling her. Shuga jolts awake, asking what just happened, turning to check if she's all right. She stands, looking at him oddly, stammering that she accidentally woke him. Uncertain about what occurred, our boy feels he must have done something wrong, but he can't pinpoint what it was. Only then does he realize his back aches from sleeping on the floor. He'll need to spend the entire day resting for the pain to subside. Sugarway is vacuuming the hallway and opens the door to Tokomori's room. He's astonished that she's still asleep, even with the vacuum roaring. The boy approaches her, gently touching her face just as his phone blares loudly from his pocket. He rushes out of her room to answer the call, reflecting on how alarming that moment was. When he picks up and asks who it is, he instantly recognizes his little brother, Hikaru Sagawa. Sagawa inquires if something's wrong, but the boy reassures her that everything is fine. The younger sibling mentions he called to check on how things are going with Tokomori. He replies that not much has changed. They're still just roommates. His little brother yells from the other end that it's been a year already. The younger one continues, saying Subala thinks it's nothing, but really, he just hasn't made a move yet. He goes on to say he knows how kind Sugoi is and understands him better than anyone. Then he leans in, asking if he doesn't want to. Stop being defensive and take the initiative. You could show him how to style his hair. In the bathroom, Joe's on his hands, making a goofy face as he stares at his hair sticking up, completely influenced by Joe. He tells his little brother that his hair is a disaster for this, while the boy reassures him to hang on, asking if Takamori doesn't always return her things. Suglith recalls all the moments he witnessed her preparing, fixing her hair, applying makeup, and so forth. She takes longer than usual to wake up, finally getting out of bed and claiming she overslept. With her eyes still half closed, she strolls past him, greeting him with a sleepy good morning. Now sporting a completely different hairstyle, she beams and returns the greeting. She opens her eyes wide and approaches him, scrutinizing him closely. As she inspects him, he starts to worry that his hair looks bizarre. She leans in closer, gently touching a strand of his hair. Then she softly remarks that it looks just right now. Immediately after, she smiles and asks if he's heading out. He nods, surprised by her reaction, and she repeats that he looks fantastic. Feeling elated by Tokomori's compliment, he now needs to find something to do to pass the time before leaving. Shugo strolls through the cinema, reflecting on how enjoyable the film was when he spots someone in front of him seeking assistance. An older gentleman, notebook in hand, tries to catch someone's attention, clearly lost. So he approaches him since no one else is helping. He offers his assistance. The man explains that crowds overwhelm him, leaving him a bit disoriented. As Shugawa begins to give him directions, someone waves and calls him over. Takamori wonders what her father is doing with Sognyoa. Slowly, it dawns on our boy. He finally realizes he's been conversing with her father. She approaches and explains that she went out to meet her father today, introducing Shugawa as a colleague. Her dad mentions he's quite shy and thanks him for the help, shaking Sue's hand enthusiastically. She tells her dad he's overwhelming him, and he releases Shugawa, expressing his happiness at meeting him. The boy walks a bit away from Tokomori and her father, while she checks in with her dad asking if he's all right, to which he replies affirmatively. He inquires about her job. Shervillic expresses pride in her work, and she reciprocates, saying he's very dependable. Once home, she suggests her dad must be tired and invites him inside. They all enter. Tokomori removes her shoes and begins wandering around the living room. Her dad stands still, observing the boy who is frozen, staring blankly ahead. He calls for his daughter, pointing at the boy standing like a statue beside him. The girl laughs, admitting she forgot to mention she's living with him. Both the man and the boy remain completely still, stunned by her revelation. She announces she's going to prepare dinner and encourages them to make themselves at home. Seated across from each other at the table, an awkward silence envelops them. Attempting to ease the tension, he says he's going to wash his hands and rises from the table. So Kimura calls out to her father, offering an apology for the wait, assuring him that the food will be ready shortly. Her father notices while she speaks that her arm is injured. Preoccupied with the food timer, she doesn't hear her father calling her. The man imagines that the injury must have been inflicted by Sugawa, picturing him cruelly tormenting her while she cries, hurting her feet. He pulls out his wallet, gazing at a photo of his daughter as a sad little girl. Sugawa stands in the bathroom, examining himself in the mirror, thinking he needs to impress Tokomura's father. Finally, he notices the man standing at the bathroom door, his voice trembling. The man admits he knows he's shy and not very trustworthy, but he needs to say something as her father. Without making eye contact with Sugoi, he states he doesn't want the boy near his daughter. Tokumori's father implores Sugawa to please stop living with his daughter. The boy and the man remain silent, staring at each other in disbelief. The father then gently expresses his hope that the boy can reflect on his request. Feeling awkward, Shigawa says he's going for a walk. In the kitchen, Tunk and Mori announce the stew is finally ready, while Shodoel walks by, stating he's heading out. Confused, she calls after him, but he ignores her and exits the house. Her father returns to the living room, and she inquires if something occurred with Sugawa. Her father, trembling and stuttering, urges her to share any troubles she faces. Regaining composure, he asks about the strange marks on her left arm. She grins, clarifying it's not a bruise, just printer ink she couldn't wash off from her job at a printing company. Her father sinks down, unable to process her explanation. Still in disbelief, he questions if Sugawa could be responsible for that. She reassures him that the boy is always there for her, even during her toughest moments. With a dreamy smile, she adds that he always appears when she needs him most. He's just that kind of person. Shugawait sits on a bench under a shelter, rain pouring heavily around him. He thinks to himself that her father wouldn't appreciate a stranger living with his daughter. Then he begins calculating in his head, wondering if he could manage the initial expenses of living alone. He probably could, but he doesn't want to leave things unresolved with Tokimori. Suddenly, someone approaches him holding an umbrella. Looking up, he sees it's Tokomon. She mentions that the food she prepared is getting cold. She insists they should head home together. Upon returning, her father apologizes to Subila, acknowledging he's the one who always supports his daughter. She remarks that this has happened many times before, with him always making a fuss when she returns home injured or messy. Later, she stands beside the boy, waving goodbye to her father, who reminds her that her dad truly cares for her. She replies that he's a good man. Turning to the boy, she asks for his thoughts on their relationship after mentioning Sugawa. They stand in silence, gazing at each other as he struggles to articulate a response. In his mind, he reflects that they aren't merely roommates and wonders if he's the only one feeling this way. He stammers her name, wishing to be close to her. She interrupts, saying that Shuga shares her feelings, but she resembles her father a lot. In shock, he realizes she meant her and her father, not them together, and feels foolish. Later, they enter the room to find Kumori on the bed, preparing for sleep. She turns away, wishing him good night. He thinks that sharing a bed like this feels uniquely special. The next morning, sunlight hits his face, waking him up, and he notices Tokimori by the window. She's radiant. She greets him with a good morning, and he points out that she woke up early too. She replies that days like this are rare, bouncing around with excitement while he shields his eyes, catching a glimpse of her. She continues to express that such days are uncommon, wanting to do something special, and he asks what she has in mind. Cook and Mori then lies seductively on the bed, affirming she wants to do something special. Still lounging there, she mentions wanting to do some kind of exercise, wanting to sweeten things up. He's left speechless, his mind racing with inappropriate thoughts. Before he knows it, he's geared up to run and exercise outside, while Takamori beams with happiness. She apologizes for dragging him along and asks if he remembers the day they stretched together. Making him run inspired her to do the same. That's why she's thrilled to be doing this together today. She begins with squats to warm up, thinking he's getting too excited too soon, and suggests they both give their best in this run. As they run, he thinks that sharing this experience is truly special, noticing how she bounces with each step. At that moment, he recalls how she lay on the bed earlier in an incredibly alluring manner. He abruptly halts, claiming he's lost his rhythm, telling her to go ahead while he catches up. After stopping, he realizes his heart races in a completely different way. Suddenly, a bark from behind startles him, followed by a voice scolding Momo and apologizing. Turning around, he recognizes Nishi with her little dog. Momo. Meanwhile, Takamura continues running, planning to complete 3 laps around the track. Shigola asks Nishi what brings her here. She replies that she lives nearby and often visits this park. The girl waves goodbye as he thinks he must keep her from realizing he and Tochimori are at the park together. As he bids her farewell, he worries she might discover that he and Tochimori are at the park together. Crouching down, our boy inquires if that's Momo, gently petting her despite his past trauma with dogs. With a wild look, he half shouts a yes, claiming he adores petting their little heads. Nishi, clearly uneasy, calls for Momo to leave, while Suda warns her to be cautious and avoid catching a cold on this chilly day. He takes off running again, searching for Tokomori, and spots her sitting beneath a tree. He approaches her and notices her sulky expression. He asks if she's all right, and she replies that she's feeling tired. Nervously, he notices a few guys walking behind them, checking them out. So he quickly removes his jacket and drapes it over her hands. Wrapping her warmly in his jacket, he tells her he'll fetch them some drinks. Later, sitting on a bench with drinks, she apologizes for dragging him into this. Frustrated, she laments that staying home would have been better since she ultimately couldn't run. Shugu points out that taking the initiative to do things independently is crucial. With a faint smile, he tells her it's something to be proud of. She blushes while looking at him, and he offers her a warm drink. When she touches his hand, she remarks that it's cold. She then takes his hand and presses it against her warm face, smiling at him. The boy freezes, speechless, captivated by her smile, when suddenly, a little bark interrupts. Mishes appears with her dog. They both jump, caught off guard. She comments that they surprised her, and it almost looks like they arrived together. Embarrassed and speechless, they glance at her. She stares at them, intrigued. She wonders if the couple on the park bench is dating. In disbelief, she leans closer to Tokomori, asking if she's in a romantic relationship. Our girl tries to defend herself, insisting it's not what she thinks. Her friend shouts, demanding to know what kind of relationship they have. Nervously, Tokomori explains that somehow they ended up living together. Shigawa and Nishi are both taken aback by Tokimori's revelation. Later, after explaining the situation to her friend, she asks if it's already been a year. Then she questions whether the two of them have done anything during that time. Tokomori innocently asks what her friend means, confused by the implication of nothing. Michigan feels relieved, clarifying they're talking about Sagawa, likely implying he wouldn't be able to do anything anyway, while our boy feels the sting of the insult. Ignoring the harsh comment, he sips his coffee, knowing there's something more important. Later at home, Tokimori flops onto the couch, declaring her exhaustion, while our boy reflects on how sweaty he feels. She mentions that despite what she told her friend, something feels off. Now studying him closely, the boy appears unfazed. Stammering with a shaky voice, he admits he was just glad her friend would keep it a secret. He recalls her friend saying he's an honest guy. She roots for them and offers help if he ever wants to ask about. Heading to the laundry room, he removes his shirt, thinking that for now everything is fine. Seconds later, Takamori appears with her clothes half open, asking where her clean clothes are. Sugawa apologizes, explaining her clothes are still drying. He picks up a shirt and hands it to her. Instead of taking it, she approaches him. In the next moment, he finds himself pressed against the washing machine, her eyes closed and very close. He feels her body against his. She whispers his name softly. With a sweet voice, gazing up at him, she asks if he wants to take a shower. Looking down, he sees Tokomori's body against his. In his mind, he hears their friend asking again if it's been a year since they started living together. Trembling, he thinks that nothing has truly changed. In the end, the girl says she can shower. She beams and says she'll get started right away. Our guy stands frozen by the bathroom entrance, overwhelmed, listening to the sounds of her undressing and stepping into the shower. Imagining her inside, he ponders what on earth he should do. Should he just walk in? Should he wash her back? Does he need a towel? Panic sets in as he tries to devise a plan. He desperately seeks a way to join her in the shower. Gathering his resolve, he steps into the bathroom. He notices she's completely undressed, standing in the shower stall. Takahori hears a sound from inside the stall and calls out. He freezes, holding his breath, paralyzed. With a shaky voice, he asks if he can join her in the shower. She's done. As she rinses her hair, she apologizes for the wait. Shugawa, still in shock, stares at the shower door as she mentions knowing he gave up his turn. It dawns on him that her saying she'd go first was just about her turn, not an invitation. Too late, he realizes this as the shower door swings open, revealing her refreshed. Her eyes are shut, so she walks right into him. Our boy, blushing fiercely, stares wide-eyed into her gaze. She meets his gaze, both of them caught in the moment. Shugawa bolts from the bathroom, screaming apologies, leaving Tokomori in stunned silence. The next day, they chat, and she apologizes for yesterday, unaware he was there. He apologizes back, asking how he can make it right, and she admits it was both their faults. Shyly, she suggests he just forget about it. Just then, someone pops up, startling them, asking if something happened. He nervously insists nothing occurred, while Tokomori remains cheerful. She inquires if her friend really made those lovely crochet coasters. Yes, she confirms, adding that it's great for the mind, as her friends admire her work. Our girl expresses her desire to try making some herself. Meanwhile, the guys at work pause to listen to her. They get sentimental, picturing her knitting sweaters, gloves, and more. Sugawa, who has been eavesdropping, thinks she truly excels at everything, recalling the aquarium and dinner. Later, Takamori finds herself on the floor, surrounded by a mess of clothes. He reassures her that it's fine. It's the thought that matters, while she laments her uselessness. As she walks away, he's surprised she got tired just from starting to sort. He glances at the calendar and realizes Valentine's Day is next week, recalling Tokamori's chocolate warning. Excited, he begins to frantically fold and organize the clothes. The following day, he silently trails Tokamori, trying to uncover her Valentine's gift. Days pass without a single clue or hint. Finally, Valentine's Day arrives, and Nishi brings chocolates for everyone, asking them to line up. All the co-workers form a line as she distributes small boxes of chocolates. Tokamori picks a box and hands it to Samila, thanking him as usual. At day's end, Nishi suggests a girls' night to our girl. Soda waves goodbye and heads home. He bids farewell to a few friends on the street, a sad look in his eyes, as if the day fell short. Then, Tokamura calls out to him from behind as he walks toward home. He turns and asks if she's not joining the other girls, to which she replies she slipped away. She steps closer, quietly saying she has something for him. Our boy! His heart racing, feels nervous. She inches closer, and he, now even more anxious, worries someone might see them. She pulls out a scarf from her coat, saying it's her first knitted piece, and she hopes it turned out okay. Gently, it wraps the scarf around the boy's neck. He was astonished to discover the scarf was crafted by hand. With a warm smile, she tells him it was made from the heart. His surprise turns into a joyful smile as he thanks her for the lovely, warm gift. She mentions there's chocolate and invites him to share it at home. Feeling both warm and joyful, they walk home with their chocolates, and the boy reflects on how unforgettable this winter will be. A colleague inquires if Sogawa enjoys Japanese films. He excitedly mentions a new addition to the catalog, a film by the brother of director Asagama, instantly piquing Sugawa's interest. A friend warns him about spoilers while expressing gratitude, eager for the film, until someone approaches to ask what they're discussing. Takamori strolls over, catching the boy off guard. They react with surprise as they discuss the intriguing movie recommended by the coworker. Leaning in to see the phone screen, she comments on how interesting it looks. Softly, she gazes at him and asks if he'd like to watch the movie together at home later. Taken aback, Suga agrees to her idea. Later that night, the film opens with a woman discussing a series of mysterious deaths. Tokamori, perched on the couch, declares it a mystery film, while Sogawa, sitting on the floor, beams with excitement. He concurs, noting it certainly seems that way, while wondering if this viewing will mirror their last movie night. An hour in, the film reveals a curse spreading, and the two are completely absorbed in the living room. Shootel turns around, commenting on how frightening the movie is, asking if the girl feels scared. He then realizes the girl has been asleep for a while and decides to fetch a blanket for her. As he walks to the bedroom for the blanket, he notices an eerie silence enveloping the house. Suddenly, he hears footsteps behind him and freezes, gripped by fear. When he cautiously turns around, he spots a woman with her hair obscuring her face approaching him. Our boy lets out a small scream, startled, and turns to see what's behind him. She brushes her hair aside and apologizes. Falling asleep while Sobo was still on the floor, she admits she startled him. Thinking too much, she quickly suggests they should just go to bed. The clock shows 12:55 a.m. and Shiboa still struggles to sleep, while Tokamura rests peacefully beside him. He turns to face the girl sleeping next to him, lightly brushing his hand against hers. Suddenly, her hand wraps around his, causing him to open his eyes in surprise, not expecting such a reaction. She looks at him and asks if he's having trouble sleeping. He admits that holding her hand soothes him, and she smiles softly, suggesting they should sleep holding hands. Stunned, he notices how warm and soft Tokamori's hand feels. He pulls her hand close to his face, closing his eyes, marveling at how genuinely warm her hand is. The following day at work, Sugar's friend mentions how terrifying the movie was, and Michi observes how shaken he appears. Shigawa arrives at the office, greeted by Tokamori. She mentions leaving the meeting documents on his desk and that she'll double-check them. He glances at the clock, surprised she's already completed the paperwork, realizing how quickly she works. Upon reaching his desk, he notices an unfamiliar man beside him who apologizes for being late. He introduces himself as Arisu Akanteru, stating he'll be under Sugawa's supervision today. He shows his ID badge, revealing he's the new director, while the other supervisor adds that he may be new but has extensive experience in team management. Goa thinks he must be as capable as Tokomori, and she catches him staring, giving him a look that questions his concern. He quickly shakes his head, startled, insisting it's nothing, while the new director expresses his eagerness to learn from everyone. A little later, the new director mentions he'll leave something with our girl, and she responds that it's fine, expressing pleasure in meeting him. Sugawa, inexperienced with girls, overhears them discussing how tall, intelligent, and wealthy he is. Then he notices the new director standing next to Takamori, making her smile, and a sense of unease washes over him. Seeing her smile because of him again, he starts to sneak closer, wanting to hear what the guy is saying. Their other supervisor tells Tokomori she needs to review the files again, and she asks if it's all right to deliver them by 2 p.m. Immediately after, she hands the new director a manual asking him to read it. Sugawa wonders if she has another intention later that same day. Noticing how overwhelmed she is, Later that day, Sugawa ponders whether she has a deeper significance. Noticing her distress, Sugar feels a surge of concern. He gathers his courage and offers assistance, suggesting she reach out if she ever needs help. Surprised by his offer, she watches as he collects the files, claiming he can be helpful at times. The girl steps closer and gives his shoulder a gentle squeeze. She agrees to his proposal. Feeling a bit awkward from the squeeze, he takes a seat. At the computer, diving into the files she provided, as he spots a double space in the document, a voice behind him compliments his keen eye. Turning around, he finds the new director peering closely at his work. Awkwardness fills the air. Shugo glances at him, apologizing for the interruption. Later, the new director informs Chief Sakuda that he streamlined tasks, noting the workload often falls on one individual. He shows the chief his tablet, revealing Tokomori's name appears far more frequently than others, and Chief Sakuda concurs. Grateful, the chief acknowledges the director's insight and mentions he has a plan. He spots the girl engrossed in her reports and sees Sugawa bustling around. He then halts her and asks Tokomori what she thinks of Shuga. Sotoa, utterly baffled, simply stares at the director. The new director excitedly suggests that Shuga could support Tokomori. He adds that he spoke with Tokomori and her tasks align perfectly with Shuga's skills. It's far better to collaborate with a partner than to tackle it alone, especially with a rookie like him. Glancing at his tablet, he notices Igarashi is lagging and wonders how he might assist. Tokomori observes him standing idle and inquires if the new director has any concerns. He smiles, assuring her there are none, emphasizing she was a fantastic mentor. He then dashes off, tablet in hand. Chief Sakuda advises Tokomori that while he recognizes her excellence, he doesn't want her to overextend herself. He suggests she delegate some tasks to Sugawa. The boy begins to question if he truly measures up to work alongside her. She quietly confides that she feels much lighter, fluttering around, and asks him to take good care of her. Our boy, shy yet happy, promises to do his best, while Mishi showcases her work to Tokomori. Nishi returns the compliment but shifts her gaze toward Sugawa. He recalls when they mentioned living together, and she offered to answer any questions about love. As she walks past, she whispers that this is a golden opportunity for him, while he insists he's merely assisting her with work. She then remarks that this applies to both work and romance, encouraging him to give it his all. Our boy settles next to Tokomori, reminding himself to concentrate on his tasks. He grabs a notepad, jotting down everything she teaches. She asks if she can use his computer and accidentally drops his pen. As she bends to retrieve it, he freezes mid-motion. He can't help but admire her legs as she assures him she'll fetch the pen. The girl gets down on all fours to search for the pen, and he watches in utter shock. Stunned, he thinks this view is far too much for him. Finally, she finds the pen and asks if it's the correct one. Handing it back, he worries he's just slowing her down. As she rises, she accidentally bumps her back against the desk and tumbles to the floor. He quickly checks if she's okay. She replies that she's nervous since she's never worked so closely with him before, which explains her clumsiness. They return to their tasks, and our boy wonders if she's as anxious as he is. They both call out to each other simultaneously. Embarrassed, they lock eyes, puzzled by the coincidence. Nishi laughs, declaring it a perfect match, while the new director chuckles, saying it was just as he anticipated, leaving the pair feeling awkward. They apologize to one another, and afterward, their conversations at home become less frequent. One morning, Tokomori urges Shugawa to look outside. To his surprise, he notices the cherry tomatoes are beginning to ripen. He approaches for a closer inspection and asks if it's really been 2 months since she purchased the grow kit. She confirms, mentioning it was about a month at ripen. Her latest fascination is growing cherry tomatoes, which she finds adorable, even naming them and tying little bows on some. She excitedly lists the names of the tiny tomatoes while Shugo watches in awe, amazed at how her usually serious demeanor can shift to this playful side. Leaning in with a low-cut top, she softly expresses her desire to taste them once they ripen. Stammering, he agrees they can eat them together, and she eagerly responds, saying she can't wait. He tries to steady himself, reminding himself she's just talking about cherry tomatoes. Despite knowing it's nothing serious, his heart races. A month passes, and while vacuuming, he spots the cherry tomatoes, almost ripe. He recalls the time she lacked the energy to tend to them. The sugar ward gently lifts the small plant pot and places it on the floor, fearing the worst. It tumbles over. He resumes cleaning when Tokomori stirs awake, greeting him. Suddenly, a loud crash catches his ear. He turns to find the girl, mouth agape, staring at the toppled tomato plant. He rushes to her, apologizing for the mess, but she insists it's her fault. She crouches down. She admits she was just as eager to taste them and feels she's ruined everything. Seeing her distress over the fallen tomatoes, Shugawa reassures her. He begins gathering the squashed tomatoes, determined not to waste her hard work. He promises to handle the tomatoes and later prepares roasted tomatoes with basil, cheese, and olive oil. He declares that as the farmer, she deserves the first taste and offers her the dish. She takes a bite and exclaims he's a genius. It's delicious. She adds they're even better than store-bought ones, and he credits it all to farmer Tokomori. Her hard work. She leans in and kisses his cheek, leaving Shugawa stunned. She says he always lifts her spirits. Holding another cherry tomato, she shares how much she appreciates that. Still reeling from the kiss, he thinks it was just a tomato, but fears his heart might break if he gets too close. It was my moment when Shugao arrived, building a... Looking up at the lights, he realizes she made it home safely, smiling. He had to return at odd hours and thinks he should learn to work with her. As he opens the mailbox, he spots a letter addressed to him. He takes the letter and shows it to her. She excitedly exclaims about a theater ticket. He admits he was just hoping for luck. Then he examines the tickets more closely. She approaches and points out there are 2 tickets, not 1. She expresses her happiness for him, and he confirms they're for 2. If she's willing, he'd love for her to join. On theater day, just before the doors open, Tokomori arrives in a stunning dress, telling Shugawa she's already sorted her things. He's completely taken aback, thrilled he invited her. She looks adorable. She mentions her outfit has no pockets, and he offers to hold her keys. Hearing the doors creak open, she grabs Sugawa's hand, pulling him inside. He doesn't mention her hand feels a bit sweaty, almost bringing it up. Tucker Moray glances at him, saying they'll be sitting close to the actors, and she's excited. During the play, Sugoi looks at her and quietly asks if she's not straining to see. She assures him she's fine, and he seems relieved. During the 10-minute intermission, she tells him the play is fantastic and can't wait for the second act. She says she'll grab some water for them. He remembers she might have forgotten her wallet. Rushing after her to remind her, he turns a corner and finds her crouched down, exhausted. He asks if she's all right, and she apologizes, saying she didn't want to bother him. After all, she was just thrilled to be invited by him. In the background, an announcement declares the second act will start soon as everyone returns to their seats, and Tokomori tells him to go ahead. She'll wait there. Of course, he knew she would say that, and he insists he wants her to enjoy it too. Then he points to an ice cream stand, asking if she'd like one. He's been eyeing it since they arrived. She shyly agrees, leaving the... He tells her they can re-watch the entire play once it's out on DVD. Tokomori remarks how chilly the night is and clings to his arm. He's taken aback by her sudden closeness. The girl asks if she can stay like that until she warms up. He's at a loss for words, stammering that she can. As they walk home, he thinks about how happy he is today. Sugawa announces their food is ready, and Tokomori, exhausted, sits at the table thanking him. He notices the kitchen light above the table is on. The boy sees the light hanging over the table is on. As it powers on, she wonders if it's burnt out and heads to the switch to investigate. Pressing the buttons only worsens the situation, plunging them into total darkness. The following morning, after her shopping trip, Tokomori reveals to the boys that she hasn't changed the light bulbs since moving in. He grabs a chair, suggesting they tackle the hallway lights first. Suddenly, she shouts, insisting on doing it herself. Tokomori mentions that he cooked dinner and did the shopping yesterday, claiming he's already done more than enough. He reassures her that it's fine he handled everything while she insists on helping. She asserts this is their home too, wanting to contribute, and asks again to change the light bulbs. Finally, he concedes, saying he'll hold the chair while she swaps them out. Tokomori climbs onto the chair, beginning to replace the first bulb. He feels a surge of happiness as she refers to it as their place, listening to her. As she works, he gets an unobstructed view of her figure. She's wearing a skirt. Still in shock, he hears her announce it's done and that she's successfully changed. She perches on the chair, stating the next one is in the living room. He lowers his gaze, mentioning that angle was far too risky. In the living room, she removes the glass cover from the light fixture, while he cautions her to be careful. She manages to detach it, saying it's heavy, but all he can focus on is her skirt, making him uneasy. The girl requests the new bulb, but notices he's blushing like a tomato. Realizing where his gaze was, she becomes flustered and apologizes, to which he replies, "It's fine. She's just trying her best." After a while, they manage to replace all the bulbs they intended to, celebrating in the living room. The boy expresses he couldn't have accomplished it without her. He raises his hands in celebration, anticipating a high five, but she bypasses it and hugs him instead. Completely mortified, he calls her name, and she simply says she's tired. He allows her to sit on the sofa, pointing at the light, saying it's bright and shining, all thanks to her efforts. She gazes up, closing her eyes, claiming the light is far too. He chuckles, admitting he still doesn't know how to handle her, while she shields her eyes from the now overly bright lights. She approaches her colleagues at work, requesting a moment of their attention. The guys freeze, staring at her, and her boss inquires about the situation. One co-worker mentions how she alleviates his fatigue, while another says just being near her brightens his day. She walks past, wishing them both a good work day. The two standing beside Sugawa appear smitten after her kind remarks. Next, her boss announces she has good news. They secured a new project, all thanks to Tokomori's efforts and the team's hard work. She then turns to Igarashi, acknowledging her hard work on this project. Surprised, Agira looks at Tokomori, who winks at her, clearly having passed the pre. The girl downplays it, stating it wasn't a big deal, and Sugawa notes that she and Tokomori seem to be getting along. Our boy watches Tokomori with admiration, thinking how wonderful this is for her. Suddenly, he hears someone mumbling quietly below him about how much has happened. Turning around, he spots the new director crouched next to his dad. He keeps whispering that the meeting took longer than anticipated, asking Sugawa if he can stay quietly for a bit, and the boy agrees. After a moment, Nishi comments on how long it's been since Tokomori attended a company celebration. She then mentions she ended up coming without even realizing it. Suga gently tells her to inform him if she starts feeling unwell. Tomori, sweet as ever, hides behind her glass, assuring him not to worry. She'll let him know. Something about her tone excites him a bit, and she clearly notices, looking at him as if she caught him in the act. Her friend then tells Tokomori it sounds like they'll be speaking out early. Sugoi. He, caught off guard while eating, chokes on his food as the girl hands him a drink. While our girl thanks Ariasala, he softly mentions his voice has been gone for a while. But he hasn't really taken care of his health, even as a director. Then Tokomori reassures him it's okay to have moments like that. He always works too hard. She adds that he should prioritize his health, and he bids farewell. Still walking behind Tokomori, he comments on how kind she was to the director earlier. She turns around, saying those were the words he once told her. The boy freezes, astonished that she actually remembered. Komori mentions it was during his first night at their home, recalling her immense relief. She extends her pinky towards him, declaring it will be their little secret. He intertwines his pinky with hers, thinking it's fine to keep it hidden given his lingering feelings. The clock shows 7:40 a.m. as he warns her to be cautious. She glances back, assuring him she will, and that she'll leave first. Gover waves goodbye, pondering how much they resemble a real couple. Upon reaching the train platform, you can see Tokimura remains at the station, calling out to her. She replies that they'll be a little late and that she informed their boss. Yet she adds she's happy because she got to see him at the station. A warm feeling. The boy struggles to process her words as the train arrives, with Tokimori urging him to board. The train quickly fills up, forcing him to stand uncomfortably close to her, both blushing and avoiding eye contact. He feels unsupported and unable to move. He notices Takamori pressing her bag against her chest. Unable to look away, he scans the area, realizing how awkward this is. But there's no escape. Suddenly, the train begins to halt, abruptly and to prevent falling. He braces his hand against the wall beside Takamori's face. Embarrassment floods him, his hand shaking. He shuts his eyes, focusing on staying balanced with just one arm. Tokimori gently tells him not to overexert himself, offering her support. Looking at him, she softly adds that it's fine since it's him. He barely has time to shift or respond before they arrive at an unfamiliar station. They disembark, and Sugawa immediately checks his phone, realizing they have only 10 minutes to reach work. Tokimori turns to him, stating she's going to sprint, and he agrees, acknowledging it's a smart move. They arrive at work together, apologizing for their tardiness. Paz inquires if they took the comic route, noting they almost made it on time as they celebrate their victory. That evening, when they return home, Takamori is completely exhausted on the couch, her blouse askew. He reflects on how exhilarating it was to run with her today, and goes to fetch a blanket. Sugawa feels drained when Noonbreak arrives at work. He stayed up late to catch up on his phone. Tokimori walks by, notices his state, and approaches to slip something into his shirt. He discovers it's a piece of gum, and she advises him to use it to stay alert, promising to assist him in the afternoon. He watches her walk away, thinking about how cool she is. Suddenly, he feels someone watching him from afar. Turning around, he spots Nishi staring intently and greets her, asking how she's doing. His friend approaches, telling him he needs to be more grounded, smile, and that he won't score if he doesn't play aggressively. He asks why she's saying this, and she replies she just wants to help. She explains that girls are drawn to guys who exude confidence and reliability. His friend continues, likening it to those TV dramas. Shugo then strides over to Tokimori, attempting to appear self-assured. He thanks her for her earlier assistance and asks if there's any way he can repay her. She responds that it's fine, she can manage everything on her own. She also mentions the company sent them a report. The boy grows anxious, questioning if it was something he did, while Michi behind them looks disheartened. The following day at Danny's restaurant, Shigawa asks about the purpose of the meeting regarding the issue. Michi states she will be honest with him. She inquires about his thoughts on his current situation, living with Toku. He feels embarrassed and struggles to find words, as she points out that no one casually asks a coworker to live together, even in tough times. Shunga recalls Tokumori asking if he couldn't manage it and if she wasn't helpful. The boy thinks that if she says such things, it means he must be special in some way. Just knowing that makes him feel. Nishi continues, explaining that people date for various reasons, with many motivations behind it. Some seek companionship, while others are only after the physical. She concludes by saying that if he wants to be special to someone, he must take the initiative. A notification pops up on his phone, reminding him of Tokumon, happily mentioning she recently started growing cherry tomatoes. Cheerfully, she mentions that she just began cultivating cherry tomatoes. Michi confidently claims that Takamori will find happiness, even as their relationship evolves. As they leave, she expresses regret if her words sounded like nonsense. Her friend suggests that if she were in his position, she'd be thrilled with any progress. Shuga ponders this deeply on his way home. He wonders if Takamori sees him as someone special. Upon arriving home, he finds her, as stunning as ever, waiting to greet him. She looks flustered as he steps inside. "I'm back," he announces. On a scorching day, the temperature hits 36 degrees, and he likens it to body heat. He feels relieved that Takamori opted for light clothing, recalling her in that cute dress, ready for the day. When he gets home, he discovers her collapsed on the floor, unconscious. He thinks it's way too hot inside. What's going on? To his surprise, the living room air conditioner is set to a cool 25 degrees. She explains she wanted to cool the room before his return but fainted from the heat. Takamori looks let down, but Sugawa reassures her that everyone has their strengths and weaknesses. He adds that her desire to do something nice for him is incredibly sweet. Blushing, she takes a plate of food he slides toward her, noting how hot it is and that they need to eat. She tastes the food with delight, declaring it sour, and he smiles, confirming her observation. After lunch, he suggests putting on a refreshing video while the air conditioner does its thing. He crosses the room, grabs some damp towels, hands one to her, and takes one for himself. He hits play on the video, settling on the sofa, feeling cool and content. Takamori leans back, remarking on how refreshing it feels. He mentions how nice it is to drape the towel over your body. She closes her eyes, clearly enjoying the coolness. His gaze, however, wanders elsewhere. Slowly, she opens her eyes, realizing she must have dozed off, while he thinks she almost caught him staring. As night falls, the temperature drops significantly. He and Takamori grab a small bottle of juice and head to the balcony. Suddenly, fireworks light up the sky, and she excitedly points at them. Shugawa notes they're quite far away, yet still visible. She turns to him, expressing a desire to see them up close one day. He agrees, thinking about how she still makes his heart race, even in the summer heat. At work, Takamori chats happily with her boss, Sakura. The guys at the office comment on her clean and organized vibe, convinced she excels at housework. Sudola overhears and notes that she really does take care of herself every morning with cream and makeup. At night, he reflects on how she sleeps in various ways. He calls out to her, asking if she can do the laundry after changing clothes. Still half asleep, she agrees. Later, Takamori calls for him. When he checks the laundry room, he sees her shirtless, asking where the detergent is. He stutters, nervously pointing to the top shelf. She thanks him and heads back to the laundry room, saying she'll fold the clothes in the morning, while Suga thinks he left the machine on quick dry. The next morning, he goes to the laundry room, asking if the clothes are done washing and drying. Upon opening the washer, he realizes the clothes are still damp. He grabs a few, questioning if he really set the machine to quick dry. He thinks he'll have to redo it all, just as Takamori greets him with a good morning and mentions her thirst. He returns to the kitchen, apologizing for needing to wash the clothes again, and asks if she can wear her pajamas a bit longer. He's taken aback when he sees Takamori in just his button-up shirt. Noticing his stare, she explains it's a new shirt. She just ended up sleeping in it. Shugo suddenly realizes she slept next to him dressed like that. Imagining it, he's stunned by how vulnerable she must have appeared. She turns and mentions the shirt is all wrinkled. He stutters. He reassures her not to worry, promising to iron it later and that everything should be ready before dawn. He tells himself to get it together and heads to the laundry room to check the machine. Once there, he presses the button, expecting it to stop, but it doesn't. Maybe he shouldn't have left it running for so long. As Takamori steps out with the laundry basket, she offers her assistance. He agrees and asks if she could hang the clothes. She happily replies that they both own them. Subpoval watches in astonishment, recalling her words about the clothes being theirs, and starts to thank her, only to find her already hanging them. As she hangs one shirt, the dress-like shirt she wears rides up, revealing more than intended. He stands there, captivated, until she suddenly turns to face him. Then she collapses beside him. She admits she's exhausted, mentioning that living alone made such tasks impossible. She adds that now, sharing a home with him, she strives to do her best. Before he knows it, she dozes off right in front of him, and he thinks he might be demanding, but he truly enjoys their life together. Kurigola is washing dishes, pondering why Takamori is taking so long to wake. He recalls how she nearly fainted as soon as she got home last night. He considers checking on her in the bedroom to see if she's all right. He imagines walking in on her sleeping, her oversized shirt slightly open. With hope lingering, he heads to the bedroom to rouse Takamori. Upon arrival, he finds her already awake. She seems to be trying something with her mouth, prompting Sagawa to ask what she's up to. Embarrassed at being caught, she admits she doesn't know how to whistle and practices occasionally. Suddenly, it dawns on him what she's been attempting, and she inquires if he can whistle. He gives a small whistle, admitting he's not great at it but gave it a shot. Her excitement skyrockets as she praises his whistle, asking if she can try too. Takamori gazes at him earnestly, eagerly awaiting his response. Flustered, he tells her she can, once she learns the tree, as he explains that the key lies in the breathing technique. She expresses her determination to learn how to whistle. Then she shapes her mouth and asks about her tongue's position. Shugo looks up, contemplating the tongue's placement, suggesting it should rest against the front teeth. She demonstrates her version, and he feels his thoughts drifting into inappropriate territory. He advises her not to push her lips out, suggesting she keep them slightly relaxed. The girl shows him again, asking if she's doing it correctly. Shunva is taken aback by her innocence while attempting to whistle. Suddenly, she exclaims she made a sound, though he didn't catch it. She insists on getting closer so he can hear better. The girl inches closer, locking eyes with him. He turns his ear toward her as she brings her mouth near. Instead of a whistle, he realizes it's just her breath. Takamori pulls back slightly, asking if he heard it. Stammering, he acknowledges how close she was and confirms he heard her. She celebrates her success, while Sagawa reflects on the thrill of the moment. Next, he glances at his phone and spots a message from the new director. The director invites everyone for a barbecue at the beach, offering rides. It sounds like a long journey, and he wonders if Takamori can handle it, just as she asks if the message is about the beach. With a smile, she suggests they should go. He starts to feel anxious just thinking about the beach trip. At a picturesque beach bustling with people, the new director expresses his surprise that everyone actually showed up. The guys at work comment that it's a typical summer outing, heading to the beach. The four boys grumble about the heat. Then the girls arrive, announcing they brought drinks. The boys turn around, greeting them with wide smiles. Sugawa then grabs Okamori, drink in hand, feeling himself blush from her beauty. Mishi snaps him back to reality, mentioning the heat, while someone else suggests applying sunscreen. He notices the girl putting sunscreen on her body. Silently, he thanks the heavens for this beach outing. The new director announces that since everyone is here, they'll play the watermelon game. Everyone agrees it's a classic, and the loser will handle the barbecue. His body relaxes. Deep down, he's grateful for this beach getaway. The new director chimes in, suggesting they kick things off with the watermelon game. A chorus of agreement follows. It's a timeless favorite. The loser, they'll handle the barbecue duties. Takamori is clearly having a blast, and it shows in the notices. She removes her hat, declaring today will be filled with unforgettable moments. She locks eyes with our protagonist. Later, during the watermelon game, shouts fill the air. Nishi swings at the watermelon, but frustration bubbles up as she insists she knows what to do. Stepping out of the circle, Tokimori takes her turn, and Sugawa wishes her the best of luck. She responds with confidence, assuring everyone she's got this. Our boy, Smitten, watches her with a heart full of joy. Blindfolded, her friend instructs her to walk straight. Her boss urges the group to offer guidance instead of staying silent. Shuga struggles to think of advice, standing at a rather awkward angle. The opposing team's new director attempts to mislead her with fake directions, while others shout to keep her focused. He chimes in, saying the watermelon is just ahead. She readies herself for the perfect strike, but suddenly, she stumbles and lands face first in the sand. Sugawa rushes to her side, concerned. Laughter escapes her as she claims she managed to smash the watermelon. Later, as they savor the sweet watermelon, he tells her he always believed in her. She beams, saying her success came from her faith in him. Nishi gathers everyone for a rematch in beach volleyball. Later, sitting next to Sagala and gazing at the ocean, she tugs at her shirt, reminiscing about the years gone by. She mentions wanting to take a dip in the sea. Tokenmori steps closer, dipping her foot in the water, exclaiming how cold it is. She feels fortunate to have this moment alone since the others are busy setting up the volleyball area. He enjoys the sea alongside Tokomori, but watching her near the water makes him question his ability to stay composed. A breeze lifts her light beach shirt, revealing more than he expected. Naturally, he notices, and she catches him staring, quickly pulling her shirt back, a hint of embarrassment on her face. To ease the awkwardness, he comments on the pleasant breeze. She glances at him, softly replying that she was already aware. Then she calls out that the volleyball game is ready. Takamori suggests they head over, sprinting ahead while he wonders what he's doing, feeling his heart race. Upon reaching the makeshift volleyball court, he can't help but think how deeply he's into her. Girls are playing, tossing the ball and jumping around, their bodies exposed. Sugoi, stunned, hears someone behind him reminding them to keep quiet. After all, gentlemen don't gawk. He thinks if they want to look, they should be subtle, while all the boys sneak glances. Tokenmori zips up her jacket, preparing for the volleyball match. Disappointment washes over the boys. They expected a little more skin. The game kicks off, and the ball is served to Tokomori. She misjudges the save, sending the ball flying toward the water. Sugawara dashes to retrieve it, but hears a commotion behind him. Tokomori follows, apologizing, but her foot gets stuck in the sand, causing her to tumble into the water. Startled, he checks if she's all right, and she assures him she is, thanking him for getting the ball. He notices her walking away, her wet blouse now transparent. Realizing her bikini top has come undone, he rushes to inform her. She quickly clutches it to prevent it from falling and asks if he can help tie it. Blushing fiercely, he hands her the strings so she can hold them while he ties the knot behind her. After securing it, she turns back, flashing him a charming smile and expressing her gratitude. Upon their return, the team leader remarks on their delay, while the new principal and Mishi observe a crab scuttling on the sand. Then he notices Tokomori's outfit is completely transparent and rushes her to the tent, insisting they need to change. She turns to Sugawa, telling him to alert Tokomori when her clothes become see-through, as the other boys might make inappropriate comments. Finally, the beach barbecue kicks off, and Mishi comments on the stunning sunset. Sugoi, busy chopping vegetables, is approached by Tokomori, who offers to help with the skewers. He gazes at her in awe as she suggests she can be useful. Stammering, he agrees, while she inquires about organizing the vegetables, noting that skewers should be colorful. He observes her, realizing she's overthinking it, just like she did with the puzzle. Sugawa continues peeling vegetables, noticing their shoulders brushing together, pondering how close they are. He wonders if she's oblivious to their proximity, so engrossed in her task. She suddenly cuts into his thoughts, asking if they can sort the scooters by color. He responds that they have bell peppers, and she exclaims, "That's just right." The boy tenses up as she reaches for a bell pepper, their fingers brush together, making her drop the bowl of cherry tomatoes. She plans to go with Neil to help gather them. The girl apologizes for the mess, admitting she didn't realize she might not be the best. Looking down, she admits that ultimately, she's not very skilled at this. The boy catches her attention, suggesting they can just wash the tomatoes, praising her for wanting everyone to enjoy themselves. What a great person. Tokomori blushes at the compliment, left speechless just gazing at him. Hyven cheerfully urges them to hurry and pick up the tomatoes. Together, they start assembling all the skewers, exchanging smiles. One classmate spots Sugawa and remarks to the team leader that he didn't realize Sugawa enjoyed cooking. The team leader observes the two, realizing they move in harmony as if they always cook together. The little guy tries to act nonchalant, and the girl asks how he cooks so well while he shyly compliments her, noting she seems accustomed to this too. Then Nishi informs the group that the tide is coming, so they can all breathe a sigh of relief as the focus shifts from them to the top. Tough More quietly apologizes, saying she got a bit too close. The boy feels torn, realizing he's grown so accustomed to her presence that it's become routine. Checking the barbecue supplies, the new principal is stunned to discover he forgot to get the sauce. Everyone is left in shock, speechless. Mori then mentions there's a convenience store near the changing area and offers to go buy it. Nishi volunteers to accompany her, while the principal apologizes to everyone. The girl comments that Principal Irisawa prepared everything himself, and that it's fine if just one person goes. Shigola then warns her. She beams at him, saying she hopes everyone enjoys themselves. Someone behind them suggests they should make yakisoba sometime, and Nishi remarks that the girl is taking too long. Igarashi then questions if it was really that far, and wonders if she might have gotten lost. The team leader responds that they're talking about Tokomori. She would never get lost and is quite strong, knowing the girl well, so he grabs a towel and says he'll go. Our boy sets out to find her, phone in hand. He tries to call her, but realizes she must have forgotten her. Phone. He continues walking, pondering if he might have passed her without noticing. The boy finally reaches the convenience store where she was supposed to go. Upon entering, he realizes she isn't there. Chagall then asks the cashier if she saw a girl with a ponytail and a hoodie. The cashier confirms yes, saying the girl passed by a while. Our boy panics and bolts out of the store, thinking he must have missed her and that she might be on the other side of the street. He grows anxious, convincing himself it's fine as long as she's safe, but he can't help but dread other possibilities. Still, his thoughts drift. Maybe she felt unwell. Perhaps someone approached her or something unfortunate occurred. As he nears the low wall, he fears she might have fallen and hurt herself. The boy panics and starts shouting her name. The girl sitting on the low wall nearby responds. He rushes to her as she expresses surprise at finding him there. Seeing she's all right, he feels an overwhelming sense of relief. She mentions she was watching the sunset. The girl explains she twisted her ankle while walking on the beach and sat down to rest her feet. He asks to see her ankle, using the towel he brought to examine it. Our girl then inquires what he's doing there. He explains that she's known for being dependable, and everyone was wondering where she was. Our boy admits he got worried and came looking for her. The girl then calls out to him, seriously questioning why he keeps helping someone as useless as her. He raises his head as she continues, saying that because of her, he's missing the party. The girl insists she's a hopeless case. With tears welling in her eyes and a sad smile, she says she needs to improve and will strive to be more reliable. The boy gazes at her, saying she doesn't have to. While she's with him, she can simply be herself. The girl's eyes light up and she stares at him in disbelief. Nen suggests they should start heading back at whatever pace she can manage with her twisted ankle. The boy turns toward the ocean, remarking that the sunset is truly beautiful. Upon their arrival, they're greeted warmly, and one of their friends immediately yells for the sauce. More fun than ever at the beach, sharing stories, eating, and having a blast at the beach, sharing tales, enjoying food, and the boy, sprawled on a beach chair next to Tokomori, expresses his joy over the barbecue before dozing off. She gazes at him, a loving smile gracing her face as she watches him sleep. Gazing at him, she softly murmurs that he wanted her to be sincere, and this is her best effort for now. Sitting next to him, she admits her feelings, saying she likes him. Just as she confesses her feelings, he stirs awake, mumbling about dozing off, then turns to Toku. The girl stands beside him while Ren blushes furiously. Suddenly she bolts, saying it's fine. Mishi notes that it's getting dark, and they start playing. Fireworks light up the night. Everyone grabs sparklers, igniting them until Komori, holding hers, urges Shugola to use hers to light up. After lighting it, she admires the sparkling stick, exclaiming how beautiful it is. Our boy, holding his sparkler next to hers, agrees. They truly are stunning. Sometimes. Later, he lies on his bed, face buried in the pillow, reflecting on how the summer filled with great memories has come to a close. The girl enters the room asking if he's all right, and he replies with a shaky voice that his muscles ache. He reminisces about the fun he had at the beach yesterday and notices her concern. He reassures her he just needs some rest. He'll be fine. With a smile, he apologizes for worrying her, acknowledging she must be tired too, and thanks her. She blushes. He buries his face back into the pillow, but instead of leaving, she quietly slips into the room. Tokomori sits beside him on the bed, her expression serious as she simply says one word, massage. Confused, he excitedly asks if she wants to give him a massage right there in the room. She shakes her head, saying she doesn't want to Then she offers to give him a massage to ease muscle tension and improve blood flow. The boy is stunned, imagining he might actually receive a massage from Tokomon. She prepares and tells him to inform her if it hurts, and he responds that he's in her hands. Starting with his calf, she places her warm hands on him, and he feels a sharp pain in his ka. She reassures him that tension in that area is normal due to their activities. He suppresses the pain, realizing she's stronger than he thought, and hears her say she's moving to his back. The girl climbs onto him, tucking her hair behind her ear. He realizes she's sitting on his back while massaging him, and wonders if this is a good idea. Still on top of him, she asks if he remembers what happened at the beach. Sugarwater calls for a snack, asking what he's supposed to remember and if something occurred. When she doesn't respond, he calls out to her and, looking back, sees. The girl has dozed off, sitting on his back. As he shifts slightly, she begins to slide and ends up lying on him. He thinks to himself that she must be completely worn out. The next morning, Shigawa's shoulders ache because he couldn't wake her the previous day. Apparently, the girl arrived early for work that day, and she greets him with a cheerful good morning. Our boy, wide-eyed, comments that she looks different today, and she explains she was called in for job interviews. He notices her nervousness, and she admits she was anxious all night about her final interview. She states that it's much tougher for those being interviewed, so she'll give it her all. Shigawa reassures her that her seriousness is already impressive and encourages her to just be herself. She smiles shyly at him, feeling much calmer in his presence. Our boy blushes at the compliment, and she waves goodbye as she walks away. Later, Chief Sakuta instructs Shugua to review some documents with the management department. He enters the elevator, stopping one floor below. To his surprise, she enters the elevator, and he remarks on the coincidence of running into her. After a few moments, he grows anxious in the silence between them in the elevator. The girl then rests her head on his shoulder, eyes shut. Noticing this, he hurriedly presses the buttons to close the elevator doors and asks if she's tired. She simply lets out a soft grunt as the elevator begins to descend. Our boy feels happy but worries someone might see them like this. The girl opens her eyes, looking at him with a gentle smile. He starts to stutter, awkwardly adjusting his position. She appears confused by his actions. The elevator halts on the second floor and Sugola quickly steps aside as she places her hand where he had been holding her head. He nervously exits, telling her he'll go ahead and encouraging her to keep up the good work. Our girl then sits down on the elevator floor. Her gaze is dreamy, heart brimming, lost in far-off thoughts. Later that evening, as he heads home, Sugawa recalls how he tenderly cradled her head in the elevator, puzzled by his own actions. He believes she aced the interviews and wonders if she'll enjoy the puddings he picked up. The boy contemplates her constant presence, yet it's astonishing how clueless he is about her true feelings. Gazing at the moon for answers, he strolls toward his apartment, feeling uplifted. He mentions he brought her some puddings. Upon entering, he catches Tokomori removing the tights beneath her skirt, leaving him speechless. His apology echoes loudly, likely heard by the entire neighborhood. A grand bouquet arrives for Chief Sakuta's birthday. He tells Nishi it wasn't necessary, but she insists that turning 50 is a significant occasion. Then Takamori calls for the photographer hiding next door. Ibuki, her niece, walks in to wish her uncle a happy birthday. Shungo War recalls the girl from the photo with Tokomori, explaining she invited Buki since she's family and a photographer. She adds that a picture with his niece would make a wonderful memento of the day. Chief Sokube is moved to tears while his niece looks astonished to see him cry. Tsubowo approaches Tokomori, complimenting her for the sweet gesture and inquiring when she called her niece. She asks if he was surprised, then whispers that her surprise was a huge success. Feeling awkward, our boy stutters while asking when her birthday is. She seems intrigued, and he quickly clarifies it's just curiosity. He soon regrets the question, realizing it came off as forced. The girl says something, and he admits he didn't catch it. She leans in close, whispering in his ear, August 34. He acknowledges it, then realizes that's only 5 days away. Later, ECS are chatting with Chief Sakuta. Still pondering her birthday, he hears someone softly calling his name. Turning around, he sees Nishi with a serious expression, telling him this is his golden opportunity. She adds that it's the birthday of the woman he loves, and not doing anything would be a mistake. He gets flustered, repeating, "The woman I love," but she interrupts, assuring him not to worry. As Takamori approaches, Nishi says they'll discuss it more later. That night at home, he glances at the calendar, reflecting on her words about not doing anything for her. He realizes he has only 5 days to come up with something just as Tokomori steps out of the bath. She informs him the bathroom is free. The girl sneaks up behind him, startling him from his deep thoughts about her birthday. He shouts that he's on it. She comments on how hard he seems to be working, which makes her happy. Wishing him good night, she leaves. The next day, with 4 days until her birthday, he sets out with Nishi for some early planning. Shuga aims to make this the best birthday Tokomori has ever experienced. Now, let's check in on Nishi's daily routine. Her loyal assistant. Early in the morning, she wakes up with her little dog, Momo, ready for another workday. She feeds Momo and has breakfast, reflecting on how she barely slept due to the awkwardness from the previous day. She spends time choosing her outfit, debating the best option for the day, finally deciding to wear her new accessory. After saying goodbye to Momo, she heads off to work for another day. Upon arrival, she greets everyone with a cheerful good morning. She thinks to herself that she needs to be stylish, not just in life, but also at work. As soon as she arrives, Tokomori notices her new hair clip and compliments it. Nishi beams with joy, sitting down to work even more motivated after the compliment. Egarishi then appears at her desk with a massive stack of paperwork. Mishi notices the towering pile and asks why it's so much. Her friend explains she forgot to hand it over before clocking out. Just then, the new director asks if she has a moment. She agrees, thinking she won't forgive her friend for this. He suggests that another direction might be better than the current path the company is on and asks for her opinion. As she walks through a hallway, she overhears someone offering help to Tokomori. Looking closer, she sees Shuga offering assistance, both of them clearly happy. Despite the challenges, she thinks she wants to support those striving for love. At home, Mishi watches a lot of romance movies and dramas, believing that worrying is crucial for success in love. At the cafe, she states that a confession must happen at just the right moment. Nishi insists they all need to be ready for anything unexpected. Our girl chimes in, mentioning the importance of being prepared. Chief Sakuta's floral arrangement has arrived, prompting her friend to comment. Nishi overhears that Tokomori's birthday is just 5 days away. Surprised she didn't know. She thinks this could be the perfect opportunity for a date. Recalling Tokomori's words about the ideal scenario, she believes this is her chance to win him over. That day, she spots the boy, imagining he's lost in thought while watching the chief converse with Tokomori. She feels pity for him, realizing he lacks someone to guide him. Determined, she decides to assist him, even if it means being called nosy. She resolves to help him capture Tokomori's heart. Next, we see her summoning him for a chat. As they stroll, Mishi declares they will plan the ultimate birthday date for Tokomori. The two friends settle at a table, and Mishi emphasizes it's not just about the venue. He needs to focus entirely on her, especially her outfit. He pictures her arriving late, commenting on the heat while wearing a sleeveless top. Lost in his fantasies, Mishi observes him, waiting for him to return to reality. She reminds him to check if she's in high heels, as they can be tough for women to walk in. Shuga recalls their theater outing, wishing to avoid a bad experience for her. The girl points out a nice restaurant, suggesting it would be a great spot for lunch. They could even share a meal together. He imagines her feeding him a spoonful of ice cream. In his dream world, he's in bliss until Nishi pulls him back to reality. Flustered, he suggests they check out the next location. She leads him into a pet shop. She cuddles some adorable fluffy puppies, reminiscing about his love for dogs. Turning back, she sees him on the floor, terrified, surrounded by puppies licking him. Outside the pet shop, Nishi remarks that he could have just said if it wasn't working. The boy spots a bench and asks if it has always been there. She can't recall. Shugo glances at his notes, then seems to make a choice. He turns to his friend, suggesting they continue. They explore numerous exciting and fascinating spots throughout the day. As dusk falls, Nishi beams, declaring this place is perfect for an evening. Gova admires his plate, commenting on how appetizing it looks, while his friend praises the fancy venue. Once again, our boy drifts into his daydream, where Tokomori tells him this is the best date ever. In his wonderful fantasy, she kisses him, and he envisions how unforgettable the night will be. Suddenly, the waiter interrupts, asking if they want more bread. Startled, he thinks it's time to settle the bill, but the waiter clarifies it's only after dessert. In the end, Mishi thanks him for the delicious meal, while Shuga reflects on how filling it was. His friend announces they're off to the final destination, reminding him that the night is still young. She takes him to a tall spot with a view of the entire city. Feeling elated, he contemplates the romance of it all and asks for his thoughts. She inquires if he can envision the perfect date with Tokomori. He admits it's only in his mind. He wonders if she will appreciate it. Nishi gazes at the starry sky, saying, from her perspective, if someone dedicated an entire day to planning her birthday, that alone would surely make her happy. She digs into her backpack, searching for something while mentioning love. She hands him a trendy piece of candy, claiming it's a good luck charm for love. Her friend reminds him this is just a trial date and asks if he has contacted Tokomori. He admits he forgot, causing Mishi to panic and urge him to call her immediately. Tokomori, back home after a bath, notices her phone ringing. We return to Sugawa and Nishi, where the girl picks up the call and he inquires if she's someone he can talk to. She settles back on the couch, assuring him she can, then asks what he wants. Our guy starts to blush as his buddy nudges him to reveal his intentions. Trugo reminisces about the date he envisioned and begins, admitting the question is a bit out of the blue. He goes on, mentioning her birthday is approaching, and finally pops the question, would she like to go out with him? In his mind, he panics over what he just blurted out, feeling hopeless, while his friend shields her eyes. Glancing at his phone, he hears Tokomori respond with a yes. Still reeling, he processes her answer as she confirms they're going on a date. Nishi and Sugawa exchange smiles, pleased and a bit incredulous. Back at home, Tokomori exhales in relief, thinking he finally asked her out as she stares at her phone completely. At last, the day of the date arrives. He grabs his handkerchief, his bus pass, and the Lucky Charm candy she gifted him. Everything seems to be falling into place. And that's where the video wraps up. If you want to catch the next episode, make sure to hit the notification bell. See you next time on TAB's channel.